Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Still no motives in two mass shootings over the weekend, one in the South, the other in the upper Midwest.
Investigators in Grand Blanc, Michigan are trying to figure out what made a man plow his pickup truck into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints yesterday, start shooting, and then set it on fire.
I need manpower up here ASAP.
As heard on Broadcastify, at least 4 people are dead. The suspect, a Marine vet, was shot and killed by police. And in Southport, North Carolina, Saturday night, 3 people were killed when shots were fired into a waterfront bar.
Coming from a subject on the boat.
Police say that shooting rampage was also carried out by a veteran. Stacey Lynn, CBS News.
The president will host last-ditch talks with congressional leaders today in a bid to avoid a government shutdown. He's at odds with Democrats over demands for cuts to health care. CBS's Willie James Inman.
A deadline is essentially late Tuesday evening, with that funding essentially going away on October 1st. That could mean that government employees don't get paychecks. It could also mean, and the White House has talked about this, that mass firings could take place, in addition to furloughs of staff across agencies.
Armed federal agents in full tactical gear have begun patrolling the streets of Memphis. The state of Oregon is suing over the president's order to send hundreds of National Guard troops into Portland. Tennessee Representative G.A. Haraway is not optimistic about the Guard and other federal agents assisting local law enforcement in Memphis.
You'll see a temporary impact. When they leave, what happens? Crime is going to come back up. So unless you can cut it off at the source, we're going to have the same thing after the National Guard leaves that we had before they came.
2 storm systems are swirling in the Atlantic right now, posing potential threats to the eastern U.S. Hurricane Humberto is swirling in open waters as tropical storm Imelda churns through the Bahamas on a path toward Florida. Eric Blake at the National Hurricane Center.
Dangerous surf and rip current conditions across many beaches at the east coast of the United States early this week. And that's just not the United States. The Bahamas, the north-facing beaches, the Greater Antilles, into Puerto Rico, and even the Leeward Islands.
Neither expected to make landfall. Heads up, corn dog lovers.
58 million pounds of Hillshire Brands corn dogs and other sausage on a stick products are being recalled because pieces of wood may have gotten into the batter. The products include State Fair corn dogs on a stick and Jimmy Dean pancakes and sausage on a stick. They were produced between March 17th and as recently as this past Friday.
No injuries reported, and that's Jesse Missel. Dow futures up 206. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. We offer auto, home, and commercial auto insurance, plus a variety of business insurance options. Visit progressive.com today.
At 6:03, it's clear and 58 degrees downtown at the Gateway Arch. It is Monday, September 29th. Good morning. I'm Scott Jagow.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. The news is sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station. This Wednesday, the federal government will shut down if a funding bill agreement is not reached in Congress. Illinois Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski tells KMOX she has major concerns of people losing their health care coverage in Illinois.
And another area of concern, the lack of mental health facilities and cuts to Medicaid.
Maria, we are already challenged when we're trying to address the mental health, behavioral health issues that we have in our communities. We don't have the specialists to address those needs, especially in the more rural parts of my district. And Medicaid is a critical factor in keeping some of our community health centers fully staffed, fully funded to keep their doors open.
Budzinski told KMOX she plans on being in D.C. all this week in order to help stop the shutdown of the federal government. And while she's not saying she's hopeful a bipartisan deal can be achieved, she remains optimistic. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe signed the state's new congressional map into law yesterday. It's designed to increase the Republican representation in the U.S. House from the current 6-2 split to a potential 7-1 majority. Governor Kehoe first talked about this map when he presented it to lawmakers back in August.
This is the Missouri First map. This map was drawn here, made here, for here by our team. It splits fewer counties and municipalities than the current version while preserving 2 congressional districts as they currently stand.
The new map split a Democratic district in Kansas City into 3 districts.
The Missouri State Conference of the NAACP is challenging the new legislative redistricting bill signed by Governor Kehoe. NAACP President Nimrod Chappell Jr. called the process a constitutional crisis, claiming the governor improperly called a special session to rush the map through without debate. Chappell alleges the map intentionally segregates black residents in Kansas City.
Missouri lawmakers striving to make addiction treatment more accessible.
State Representative John Black of Marshfield heads up a task force that's been receiving testimony from those involved in the industry. He says two big concerns they've identified as roadblocks are transportation and housing. Black predicts some of the task force recommendations to the legislature will be budgetary.
Put more money in this program or that program. We have a advantage compared to the budget generally in that we have external sources of funding.
Those sources, the opioid settlement money and the recreational marijuana tax revenue. Brad Choate, KMOX News.
A retired St. Louis radio announcer is abandoning his campaign for an Illinois congressional seat due to health concerns. Randy Raley announced Saturday that he recently suffered a heart attack, which required a hospital stay. Raley had been running as a Democrat in hopes of facing incumbent Republican Congresswoman Mary Miller in the 15th district race next year. Raley said in a social media post that there are 3 qualified Democratic candidates still in contention, and he will support the winner of the primary in 2026.
A St. Louis primary election that drew national attention could feature the same candidates in a 2026 rematch.
Impact, I'm coming to tear your kingdom down.
The St. Louis Post-Dispatch is reporting Cori Bush could announce her campaign for her old seat this week, pitting her against Congressman Wesley Bell. Bush lost to Bell in part due to the large amounts of money AIPAC poured into the race, hoping to unseat her. YouGov poll director and SLU political science professor Steve Rogers thinks Bush's stout position against funding Israel plays more favorably now than during the primary just over a year ago.
Using national figures from YouGov, if we go back to 2024, about 69% of Democratic voters would consider Israel to be a friend rather than an enemy. However, now nationwide, that figure is fallen down to 52%.
The spokesperson for Wesley Bell says he is fighting in Congress to lower the cost of living, adding Bush was fired by voters due to her absence from the district. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
The Business Desk is sponsored by Krentz Financial Group, KFGadvisors.com. It'll be a changing of the guard for the Cardinals this week. The team is planning a pair of press conferences, one for current president of baseball operations John Mozeliak, the other for his successor, Chaim Bloom. KMOX will carry both events live. Mozeliak today at noon, Bloom tomorrow at 10 a.m. Bloom's been with the Cardinals for a couple of years. He was formerly an executive with the Red Sox and Rays. Mozeliak has served in his role since 2007.
Coming up next, traffic and weather together. It's Total Information AM at 6:08.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Do you hear that? Asthma triggers are everywhere, from dust mites, pet dander, and pollen to smog and smoke. An asthma attack can strike anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very
calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees. Ooma. Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
6:10, it's Frank Ladd of the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Tom, looks like we have just a hesitation slowdown headed northbound on Highway 55 through that road construction zone at Festus. We also have that fuel spill reported there at the Festus exit Highway A. So use some caution as they work to clean that up. North of there, not see any issues. Making your way past Imperial through Arnold all the way up through to the Highway 55 and 270 merge. Northbound on 55 north of there, not seeing any delays so far this morning into the road construction zone through South City. Into downtown St. Louis, westbound 55-64, delay-free crossing the Poplar. Similar story westbound Highway 70, crossing the Musial Veterans Bridge. Northbound on Highway 270 this morning, not seeing any issues now between 55-44 and Highway 64. Out west, a great run so far from St. Charles County to St. Louis County, eastbound on Highway 64, eastbound on Highway 70. Our next traffic update at 6:20, Frank Ladd, the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
KMOX AccuWeather remaining very warm today with plenty of sunshine. The high 89, then mainly clear tonight. We'll get down to 55 of the coolest suburbs, about 63 downtown at the Arch. Sunshine mixing with clouds tomorrow and quite warm, the high near 90. The record is 93, set in 1952. For Wednesday, a very warm day with sun through variable high cloudiness, the high temperature 84. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Thanks, Joe. It's 55 right now in St. Peter's, 61 in Florissant. We have clear skies, 59 downtown at the Arch, and the weather is sponsored by Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
University of Missouri President Mun Choi is publicly demanding action from Columbia City leaders and the Boone County prosecutor following a triple shooting downtown Saturday that critically injured a Stevens College student. Choi called the situation an emergency and wants increased police presence and full prosecution of crimes threatening to involve Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe if the city is complacent about crime and homelessness. Mayor Barbara Buffalo responded by announcing a task force of city, county, and university leaders to address safety. Choi also confirmed he has ordered Mizzou police to patrol downtown.
3 people were killed in a traffic crash on I-55 in Jefferson County yesterday afternoon. Highway Patrol says the driver of an 18-wheeler wasn't paying attention. Traffic slowed down before reaching Festus on northbound 55, and he rammed into the back of a sedan, killing 2 63-year-old people from Memphis. When the car was hit, it caused a chain reaction, hitting several other cars. A woman from Rossville, Tennessee, and a man from Barnhart had serious injuries as well. 2 others had moderate injuries. Troopers arrested 45-year-old Richard Holden of Louisiana on 3 counts of involuntary manslaughter.
Texas authorities say they've solved the infamous yogurt shop murders, and there are ties to Missouri. The murders happened on December 6, 1991 at an I Can't Believe It's Yogurt shop in Austin. CBS's Michael Wallace explains what happened.
4 teenage girls were bound and gagged and shot in the head at a yogurt shop where 2 of them worked. Now police say DNA tests point to serial killer and rapist Robert Eugene Brashers, who died by suicide in 1999.
That happened in Kennett in southeastern Missouri. A year earlier, police say Brashers killed a mother and her 12-year-old daughter in nearby Portageville, Missouri. He's also linked to a murder in South Carolina. Before the yogurt shop case was solved, it was featured in an HBO docuseries this summer.
The football season at Roosevelt High School is already over. The school canceled the rest of the schedule because injuries had depleted the team, making it unsafe to play. But parent Julia Perkins tells Fox 2 the way it was handled was disappointing.
They've been practicing since February, and for this abrupt conclusion of the season with no alternative, it's so unfair. It's unfair.
Senior Cameron Smith is worried about losing out on scholarships with the loss of his final year.
I can still get in colleges with my academics, but it's just like I want to go to college to play sports too. I wouldn't want to pay for college because it's like a lot of money coming out of my pocket.
School officials told Fox 2 the team's roster had dwindled to just 19 players.
Football yesterday in the NFL, we're down to 2 undefeated teams. One of them, Scott Jagow's Buffalo Bills. They beat New Orleans 31-19. The other one, Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, knocked off Tampa Bay on the road 31-25. Biggest game of the day was Chiefs-Ravens, a pair of 1-2 teams. The Ravens are now 1-3. The Chiefs beat them 37-20 at Arrowhead Stadium. Baltimore suffering numerous injuries in that game, including one to quarterback Lamar Jackson and their left tackle. And at one point, 7 of their starting defensive players were out of the game due to injuries. The Bears beat the Raiders 25-24. Bears have won back-to-back games after starting the season 0-2. Other winners, Jacksonville over San Francisco 26-21. Rams beat the Colts, handing them their first loss 27-20. Houston over Tennessee 26-0. Giants got their win over the Chargers 21-18. Patriots pounded the Panthers 42-13. Lions look really good. They beat Cleveland 34-10. Atlanta over Washington 34-27. And early in the morning in Ireland, it was Pittsburgh knocking off Minnesota 24-21. Last night, Green Bay and Dallas played to a 40-40 tie. A pair of Monday night games, Jets at Miami and Cincinnati at Denver. A new top 25 in college football. Number 1 is still Ohio State, but with their win over Penn State, Oregon has jumped from 6 to 2. It's Ohio State, Oregon, Miami, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma as the top 5. Ole Miss rose up to 4 after beating LSU over the weekend. Texas A&M 6, Penn State 7, Indiana 8, Texas 9, and Alabama 10. Baseball's postseason is set. The Cardinals were beaten yesterday by the Cubs 2-0. The Cubs are the number 1 wild card right now in the National League. They will host the Padres tomorrow at 2:08 Central Time on ABC. The first game of the day will be Cleveland hosting Detroit. Cleveland won the AL Central yesterday after being 15.5 games out in the division on July 6th. Now they take on the Tigers, the team that they nudged out of that spot, but the Tigers did make the wild card. Game 1 on ESPN at 12:08 tomorrow, 2:08 on ABC, Padres at Cubs. This 5:08 game is Red Sox-Yankees at Yankee Stadium, and the late one at 8:08. The Cincinnati Reds make the playoffs as the final National League wildcard team. They will visit the Dodgers. That means the Mets are out. After being one of the favorites in the National League, they do not make the playoffs. In fact, it got so bad that the day that they needed, the Reds lost yesterday, and the Mets were thrashed and shut out. The Reds had the tiebreaker in that situation, and the Mets ended up going out with a whimper yesterday in their final game of the season. They were shut out by the Marlins 4-0. The Cardinals have 2 press conferences lined up this week. One of them is going to be John Mozeliak, and we'll hear an interview that I did with him coming up at 6:22. Mozeliak today at noon. We will carry that live with reaction to follow. Chaim Bloom at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning, part of the Gas House Gang as well. Europe retains the Ryder Cup. We'll have a report from Dan Reardon on the way at 6:45. You're listening to the voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. We can reawaken any space to make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
This is Justin Brown with Krenz Financial Group. For over 6 decades, we've helped St. Louis families and businesses plan with purpose and live with confidence. Is your financial advisor proactive or reactive? If your strategy or service feels stagnant or misaligned, it may be time for a change. Our defined, proactive approach to investments and communication keeps you informed and prepared for what's ahead. Let's talk about what makes us different and how a more engaged advisor can help you reach your goals. Your goals, our mission, Start today at kfgadvisors.com.
Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services. Member FINRA/SIPC. Prince Financial Group is not a broker-dealer.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com. Auto repair bills are through the roof. $3,000 to replace the transmission. $4,000 for a blown engine. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all out of pocket. You need an Endurance Auto Protection Plan. No matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical system, transmission, AC, drivetrain, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done at the certified mechanic of your choice, and they're paid directly with no middleman. Plans cover 24/7 roadside assistance, towing, battery jumps, fuel deliveries, tire changes, lockout services, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Act now and get our elite benefits, including complete tire care and key fob replacement. A $2,000 value at no extra cost. With Endurance, you could never pay for covered auto repairs again, so call now for your free quote. Call 800-458-3124. 800-458-3124. 800-458-3124.
Total Information AM. The news continues on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Good Monday morning. It is 6:21. Frank Ladd is watching the roads for us from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Thanks, Scott. It's a great start to your work week this Monday morning. We are delay-free into North County, westbound on Highway 270, crossing the Chain of Rocks Bridge. Takes you all the way up to the Interbelt. Similar story coming in from St. Charles County, eastbound on Highway 64, eastbound on Highway 70, towards St. Louis County, northbound on Highway 270. So far this morning, no problems to report north of 55, headed up towards Highway 44. And we're starting to see just that little bit of a slowdown now, headed into the work zone northbound on Highway 55 at Weber Road. We also have reports of a crash northbound Highway 61 at Dietrich. I'm Frank Ladd with traffic in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Metro Transit.
Get a Metro Transit $5 day pass from Metro St. Louis and go anywhere Metro goes, no matter how far or how long, all day long. Super chill, clean, safe, and reliable, not to mention AC and free Wi-Fi. Go to metrostl.org to get your pass today.
Very warm with plenty of sunshine today, a high of 89. We'll get down to 55 in the coolest suburbs tonight, back up to 90 for the high tomorrow. Right now, it's 58 degrees downtown at the Arch. John Mozeliak, a noon press conference scheduled for today. We will carry it live on KMOX. Yesterday, I asked him what he is thinking about saying.
Still sort of thinking through that, but really it's just about gratitude and just thanking the people I've had to work with over the years. Obviously, these typically are about the future of what the organization is going to do, but I'm not going to have to deal with that tomorrow. So it's really going to be more of a look back and a thank you.
And looking back at this past Sunday, you and I talked right before you threw out the first pitch. I knew that was going to be a strike. The former batting practice pitcher, John Mozeliak, you fired that one right down the middle to your son, Will. What was that experience like?
It was super cool to have him be a part of it. I obviously, when you're in this type of job, the time away from home is large, and to have my whole family there, my wife Julie, my daughter Allie, and then Will, it was really special.
You're a family man. What do you plan on doing here in the near future?
Short term, I just got to break my routines, right? Because I've been doing the same thing for close to 30 years, and I just have to reprogram myself to have a different ebb and flow of a day. So I think I'll probably travel a little bit, but I'll still be around St. Louis from time to time. But I definitely won't, from a media standpoint, want to become more invisible.
Sure. Understood. I mean, it's been part of your job for a long, long time, 30 years in the organization, 18 in the position that you were in, from general manager to president of baseball operations. And with that comes a lot of memories. I would assume that if I asked you for number one, you're going to say 2011 winning a world championship, not to mention something I think you were very proud of, which was organization of the year for the first time.
Yeah, I think back to I think when you reflect on the job itself, meaning like when you work for a baseball team or any professional team, ultimately your goal is to be a part of a championship. And so obviously in 2006 we won one, 2011 we won one, and those are things I'll never forget and you're super proud of. But it's also about just the ability to maintain a successful model for so long and to have so many wins over that period. And especially if you were to do it, wins per dollar, I wouldn't be surprised if we were number one in that time period. So you take a lot of pride in that. Obviously, you mentioned Organization of the Year 2 years in a row. That's just a great compliment to your scouting and your player development. And those are really just amazing times. And, hopefully the organization can get back there.
And John Mozeliak won multiple Executive of the Year awards as well. And I feel like a lot of teams tried to replicate what you were doing, tried to follow what you were doing. It is a business where, as you said, it's hard to stay on top. I wonder, in the baseball climate today, as we ebb and flow through different waves of baseball, how St. Louis matches up here, just in general, how you see the game today and the Cardinals' place in it, how they can succeed at their level. We talked about this a little bit last week, but for those who weren't able to chime in.
I think the most important thing right now is sort of the difference in economics than it was 15, 20 years ago. And you're starting to see a big dispersion in the haves and have-nots. And so, we were always a small market team that was able to compete almost as a large market because of our TV deal, because of our attendance. And so from a revenue standpoint, we were able to punch above our weight. I think what you're seeing happen, though, now is these are becoming more challenging after the TV bubble has burst, attendance in St. Louis has dropped. And so, these are opportunities now for the next leadership group to come in and hopefully find ways to leverage those situations and get us back to where we once were. But the one difference is from low revenue teams to high revenue, I think it's a growing spread in that from the haves and have-nots from 15, 20 years ago.
Do you believe, from your observations watching them work, that the Cardinals are in a good place with this leadership group, not to mention ownership group?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One is I do think our minor league system is stronger than maybe we're getting credit for. I think our international department has been producing more, and you'll see that in the next few years. So I think under Moy, we've seen some success there. And then obviously Randy Flores running the draft. So I think there's a lot of just, underneath things that are positive. And so Cardinals fans should feel good about that. And then with regard to leadership, I certainly hope this group can take it to the next level. And, I certainly wish them the very best.
And finally, John, you've been surrounded by many people in your career. You've had a lot of people to go around and thank, and people have come around to thank you. And I'm sure they've come out of nowhere. The people you haven't heard from in a while, so many people that have come into your life. But I would go out to say that number one is your wife, Julie, who I understand you will be attending the game with today.
Yeah, she's up there with me. She wanted to be at the final game, which I thought was really cool. And yeah, of course, you think about the support of family in these types of jobs. I mean, without a great wife, it's hard to raise great kids. And she was amazing through it all. And, she's seen a lot. She's been amazing for me. And I think he and I are actually looking forward to sort of that next chapter. But in the meantime, we're going to enjoy today, get through tomorrow, and then take a deep breath.
John Mozeliak visiting with me before he went into the seats to watch the Cardinals and Cubs at Wrigley Field. Today, he will address the media for the final time at a press conference at noon.
The time is 6:28, and your time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
At Lenseek, we know running a business takes heart, hustle, and sometimes a little help. That's why we stand with you with our exclusive AI lending platform, connecting you to over 100 funders. If you've been in business for at least 2 years with a minimum annual revenue of $500,000, you can get up to $1 million in funding in as fast as 24 hours. No collateral, no prepayment penalties, no red tape. Apply today with no cost or obligation at lenseek.com. That's LENDSEEK.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
At 6:30, we have a clear sky, 59 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Tom Ackerman.
And I'm Scott Jagow. Frank Ladd is in the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, just heard a call for additional support for this fuel spill and crash northbound on Highway 55 at the Highway A Festus exit there, Veterans Parkway. So they called out an additional support now for the southbound lanes to block the left lane southbound Highway 55 at Festus there as they work to clean up this fuel spill. Also, we're talking about fuel on the entrance ramp onto the highway as well. So you give those workers a little extra space there. North of there, it's a pretty good run through Arnold all the way up through to Highway 270. Going to see a little more volume now northbound on Highway 55 at Weber Road, headed into the road construction zone that heads into South City. Delay free into downtown so far this morning. Westbound on 5564 crossing the Poplar. Our next traffic update at 6:40. Frank Ladd of the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Very warm, plenty of sunshine today, high 89. It'll get down to about 60 tonight. And then tomorrow, sunny to partly cloudy, very warm again, a high near 90. Wednesday, high 84. Thursday, 86. Friday, 88. As we continue the warm-up all week long. Currently, it's 58 downtown at the Arch.
A newly passed bill allows for the demolition of the Millennium Hotel to begin. But when will that be?
Alderman Rasheen Aldridge tells KMOX now that his bill has passed, the demolition will soon begin.
I've got commitment from the Arch Foundation is that they're ready to start the demolition process. So this isn't a 3-4 month process. As soon as this becomes law, we're talking about a few week process.
Aldridge says demolition will take about 2 years due to the hotel's close proximity to the highway and asbestos that needs to be abated. He adds his bill had the redevelopment incentives removed to focus on starting the demolition now, but says that conversation will be reassessed later. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
A legal battle over eminent domain is escalating in Brentwood. Small business owners are appealing a ruling that allows the city to take their land for a private developer. A county circuit court recently upheld the city's decision to label several properties as blighted. Attorneys for the businesses argue this was based on minor issues like cracked pavement, and it goes around state laws meant to protect property rights. The appeal will now move to a higher court.
The newsrooms at both KMOX and KMOV Channel 4 are mourning the loss of a veteran news reporter and editor. Steve Shoemaker worked in the KMOX newsroom in the 80s and 90s. He died at the age of 67. KMOX's Fred Bottomer worked alongside him for several years.
I have so many great memories of working with Steve in the 80s and 90s in the KMOX newsroom. He was one of our main street reporters who could cover any type of story. But working relationship aside, he was just a good guy and a great friend who I'm really going to miss.
Steve won several awards while at KMOX Radio for his writing and reporting. After leaving here, Shoemaker went to KMOV, where he worked for years as an assignment editor.
The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Your money report next.
The biggest impact I get to make is seeing kids graduate.
I find it the most meaningful to be able to work with kids and see the smiles on their faces when they figure out how to read.
I felt really strongly that my faith was calling me to be a person who serves others.
The only way that things are going to get better is if we all try to lend a hand.
Volunteer in your community. Visit showmeservice.org. Sponsored by the Missouri Community Service Commission and the Corporation for National and Community Service.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Shows Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX.
one of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at 11 a.m.
Fairwinds River's Edge is more than a place to live, it's a place to belong. Come see why we have been voted Best Independent Senior Living Community for 4 years in a row by U.S. News & World Report. We think you'll like it here, and the experts agree. Come see us for yourself. Call to schedule a tour with lunch or to RSVP for our senior prom on September 24th with live entertainment by the Backstreet Cruisers. Find us online at fairwindsriversedge.com.
And your Bloomberg report this hour is sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys.
Good morning. Talks about the future of electronic arts continue. Sources say a group that includes the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund is proposing a leveraged buyout that would take the video game maker private. It would reportedly be one of the biggest leveraged buyouts ever. There's been an increase in the number of electric vehicles on American roads after a surge in sales of used EVs. The market for secondhand electric vehicles was hot in the first half of the year. Sales were up 34% from the first 6 months of 2024. One buyer told Bloomberg electric vehicles appeared to depreciate faster than vehicles with gas engines. The auto parts supplier First Brands has filed for bankruptcy. In its Chapter 11 filing, the company lists liabilities of between $10 billion and $50 billion. First Brands is privately held. It distributes auto parts under several brand names, including Anco, Fram, Autolite, and Trico. With your Bloomberg Money Report, I'm Kimberly Adams on the Voice of St. Louis, 104.1 FM KMOX.
You've got a ton of equity in your home. You're sitting on a gold mine. You could do so much with all that cash, like travel, invest it, or pay off debt, but you can't touch it unless you sell your home. But you really don't want to move. And besides, homes are sitting on the market for a long time these days. You're trapped, right? Well, not with Truehold. With Truehold, you can cash out your equity in as little as 30 days. And listen, you don't have to move. You can stay in the home you love as a renter. So that's Truehold's Sell and Stay program. You cash out your entire home's value and stay put. Truehold even covers property taxes, property insurance, and essential repairs. So imagine using that equity to travel, invest, or pay off debt and stay in your home. It's brilliant, especially in this slow market. You get an all-cash offer now by calling 1-855-300-9993. You can also visit Truehold.com, the smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The amazing Nissan Now sales event is on at St. Charles Nissan. Thank you for making us the #1 Nissan dealer in Missouri for 2024. This month, take 10 grand off MSRP or get 0% APR for 72 months on a new 2024 Murano. Or take 7 grand off MSRP or get 0% APR for 60 months on a new 2024 Rogue. Hurry in. These amazing offers end February 28th. Visit us online at stcharlesnissan.com. Call 636-244-8448 for details.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy, Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Thursday night, the NFL is on KMOX. The Rams, the 49ers. Seidman Cancer Center game time, 7:30.
Seidman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer.
The Rams, the 49ers on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
The key to longevity? I'm Fred Bottomer with 60 Seconds to Better Health. Doctors are studying the habits of a woman in Spain who lived to be 117.
One component of her health that stood out was her diet. So she consumed 3 yogurts a day, plain probiotic yogurt that was made locally in Spain with no added sugar. The doctor told us this leads to bacteria production in her gut that actually reduced inflammation. And as we know, chronic inflammation is one of the main causes of aging and disease. It wasn't just the yogurt. Brañas lived in Spain with a full Mediterranean diet rich in olive oil and fish. She did not drink, she did not smoke, and she also had genes that protect her against many disorders, the doctor told us, many genetic variants that they hadn't seen before, he said. So in conclusion, Dr. Strayer said longevity is a mix between what we inherit and what we do in our lives. But Maria Brañas Morera was a very special case because not only did she live till 117, she was healthy till the end with no chronic disease. So the doctors hope that what they learned from her can be used in the future to help other people with anti-aging, but also help with rare genetic disorders that cause accelerated aging.
With 60 seconds to better health, I'm Fred Bottomer.
It is 6:40. Let's see how the roads look on this Monday morning. Frank Ladd is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Scott, we're brought to you by the Sandberg Phoenix Law Firm. Still seeing some volume headed into Festus as they still work on this situation northbound on Highway 55, the fuel spill right at the Festus exit, Highway A. So use some caution and give those folks some space to clean up that fuel spill. They were calling out additional support to close the southbound fast lane, the left lane there on Highway 55 at Festus as well to get to more of that fuel spill out of the way. Headed north to there, not seeing any issues. Make your way north on 55 towards Arnold, headed up through the Highway 270 interchange. Northbound 55 at Weber Road, that's where you're going to start to see some volume form headed into the road construction zone through South City. Northbound on Highway 270 this morning, not bad in that southern stretch between 55 and 44. A little more volume, though, northbound on Highway 270. Make your way north of Doherty Ferry, headed up to Manchester Road and Highway 64. Our next traffic update at 6:50. I'm Frank Ladd of the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we're more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. We are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. SandbergPhoenix.com. The choice of lawyers is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. Another warm week here in St. Louis.
Indeed, temperatures are going to be on the high side of average every single day this week. In fact, every day is at least in the mid-80s, the way it looks like right now, Tom. Warm ones today and tomorrow in particular. Sunny skies today with a high of 89. Then tonight should be clear with light winds. Coolest outlying areas will get into the mid-50s, about 63 downtown at the Arch. Tomorrow, that sunshine will mix with some high clouds in the afternoon, but not before we can get close to 90. About 3 shy of the record from 1952. Those high clouds dim the sun a little bit more on Wednesday. That's the coolest day that we see it right now, and it's not exactly cool at 84. Partly sunny up to 86 on Thursday with plenty of sunshine Friday. We're back in the upper 80s, maybe knocking on the door to 90 to start the weekend. 59 at St. Peter's, 61 in Florissant. It's clear, and 63 downtown at the Arch. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 6:42. No motive known yet in yesterday's deadly attack at a Mormon church in Grand Blanc, Michigan. The attack began just before 10:30 in the morning when the assailant drove a pickup truck into the church before opening fire on congregants. 4 people were left dead, 8 wounded.
Police identify the suspect as 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, an Iraq war veteran. The assailant is also believed to have set the building on fire, trapping victims inside. The suspect was killed in an exchange of gunfire with responding officers.
And in North Carolina, a man arrested as 3 people were shot and killed, 5 others hurt. We get more from correspondent Skylar Henry.
Coming from a subject on the boat, possibly in the Southport Marina.
Deadly gunfire targeted diners at American Fish Company in Southport, North Carolina.
At least 6 people down.
Investigators say around 9:30 Saturday, the suspected shooter opened fire from a boat into the crowd gathered at the Waterfront Bar and Grill.
NGA cut the ribbon on their new campus on Friday. Dion Broxton, a spokesperson for the St. Louis Development Corporation, tells KMOX properties around the site are still being acquired for a future development.
Project Connect is basically SLDC and other community stakeholders getting feedback from residents on what they want to see in that area.
Broxton says much of the land around the new NGA site is owned by Paul McKee's Northside Regeneration.
The countdown to holiday shopping is underway. The question is, buy now or should you wait?
Holiday shoppers, deals are just around the corner with Amazon Prime Deal Days starting October 7th for those who want to shop now and not wait for Black Friday and Cyber Monday.
We're really kicking off the holiday shopping season, and we've got other retailers having competing sales at the same time. And what that really means is you're going to start to see sales on pretty much everything.
However, Consumer Reports deals editor Samantha Gordon says you may just want to hold off when it comes to Black Friday for electronics.
Those prices tend to be the best for headphones, TVs, laptops. They're going to be the deepest discounts in late November.
Stephen Kaufman, CBS News.
What kind of deals will the Cardinals be making this offseason? That is a question for Chaim Bloom tomorrow at 10 o'clock. We will have the morning press conference right here on KMOX. Today, it's the outgoing president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak, who told me yesterday he plans to talk about his career, show gratitude, not look too much into the future. He said that's the job of Bloom and the new look front office. The Cardinals ended their season yesterday with a 2-0 loss at Wrigley Field to the Cubs. After the game, FanDuel Sports Network Midwest, here is Ollie Marmol, the manager, recapping the season.
Yeah, I mean, what I told the guys is we set out in spring training to do something, and that was create a style of play that we can be proud of when it comes to not giving in, and they stuck to it. I mean, at the end of the day,
he said at the end of the day there was a lot happening that he was proud of. Let's get back into that.
To the record, sure, you always want to do better, and I wish we would have been able to do that, but when it comes to the roster and style of play and what we created and what we're going to build on, I'm proud of our guys. Even today, again, I mean, they're taking the best shot, came up short, but I do like the fact that we've been able to come back in a lot of games, that there is some fight to this group, and at the end of the day, that they don't give in. So I give them a lot of credit for that.
Part of the season was about getting information on guys so you can move forward. Did you get enough? Do you feel like you got enough?
Yeah, we have enough. We were able to have certain of the questions answered. I think when you look at the body of work for a lot of these guys, the opportunity was definitely there. And we feel really good about where it's headed. We have a decent amount of clarity on the majority of the guys. There's some guys that you wish you had more clarity on, but at the end of the day, we feel good about where it's headed.
There will be some changes. It's always a tough moment at the end of a season when you walk out of that clubhouse. You know that clubhouse will not look the same next year, certainly with new leadership and Bloom addressing the media at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning on KMOX. Again, we will learn a lot more about what this all looks like. As for the postseason, we know what that looks like. It will not have the Cardinals in it. The American League features a classic rivalry between the Red Sox and Yankees. All games at Yankee Stadium starting tomorrow at 5:08. The first game at 12:08, the Tigers face the Cleveland Guardians, seeking revenge after losing a big lead in September. And at one point, the Guardians were 15.5 out in the AL Central, and they won the division yesterday. In the National League, the Dodgers host the Cincinnati Reds. The New York Mets shut out by the Marlins yesterday and ended up losing a spot in the playoffs as the Reds go on to the postseason to visit the Dodgers, and the Padres will take on the Cubs in the other National League wildcard series. The Blue Jays, Mariners, Brewers, and Phillies have earned byes to the division series. Europe has won the Ryder Cup, and with more, here's KMOX's Dan Reardon.
When is a comeback not a comeback? When it turns into a near miss. Down by 7 heading into the singles on Sunday at the Ryder Cup, the U.S. needed to virtually sweep the matches in order to post a win. They held the Europeans to one match win, but when Ireland's Shane Lowry birdied the 18th hole to tie Russell Henley, his half point assured the visitors would retain the Ryder Cup. The final was 15-13, giving Captain Luke Donald home and away wins, with England's Tommy Fleetwood named the player of the weekend. Reporting on the Ryder Cup, Dan Reardon for KMOX Radio Sports.
A new look, top 25 in college football. The number one team is still Ohio State for the 5th straight week, but Oregon jumps to 2 after beating Penn State over the weekend on the road. Miami is 3. Ole Miss, after their home win against LSU, moves up to 4. Oklahoma is 5th in the country. The rest of the top 10, Texas A&M, Penn State, Indiana, Texas, and Alabama. Missouri moves up to 19, and Illinois jumps one spot as well, up to 22. after beating USC. Among the NFL games yesterday, Buffalo and Philadelphia both winning. They're the only undefeated teams in the NFL. The Chiefs beat the Ravens 37-20. I'm Tom Ackerman on the Voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Welcome to Coffee House. How are you today?
Hi, great, thanks. May I get a sea salt caramel latte with almond milk, extra caramel, extra shot, iced,
Gross.
and to go, please. Did you get all that?
No, I was just ringing you up for all the extras. Can you repeat your order, please?
Oh, never mind. I'm just going to go.
Stop paying extra for extras. Get fancy coffee without the fancy coffee price at Quick Trip. Raise your coffee bar.
KMOX welcomes Trans-Siberian Orchestra and their monumental tour, The Ghosts of Christmas Eve, to Enterprise Center December 23rd at 3 p.m. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. A portion of the proceeds benefit Siteman Kids at St. Louis Children's Hospital. And right now, Trans-Siberian Orchestra is offering their lowest ticket price in years, starting at $55, including fees, only for a limited time. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
At 6:50, let's update the roads for you with Frank Ladd in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Oh, we're still seeing delays into Festus northbound on Highway 55, Scott, due to a crash and a fuel spill at Highway A, Veterans Parkway there. So I'm seeing delays now on the camera north of Highway 61. Make your way up towards Festus northbound on 55. Southbound drivers are slowing as well. You've got the left lane block now just before the Festus exit due to the cleanup of the fuel spill there. Headed north there, not seeing any issues passing Barnhard towards Arnold. A little more volume northbound on Highway 55 into that work zone. That starts at Weber Road through South City. Northbound on Highway 270. A little more volume as well at Gravel. You're back on the brakes again between Big Bend and Doherty Ferry. And we're thinning out. They had a lane shutdown southbound on Highway 61 south of Moscow Mills, but those delays are easing rather quickly. Our next traffic update at 6:58. I'm Frank Ladd in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Brought to you by Duke's Mayonnaise.
This is the Duke's Country Song. It's a song about the best mayo. Has a yellow lid, and its full name is Duke's Mayonnaise. Get Duke's Mayo in store. It's got twang.
The weather forecast today, very warm, plenty of sunshine, a high of 89 degrees. The coolest suburbs are going to get down to 55 tonight, 63 downtown at the Arch. Tomorrow, sunny to partly cloudy, very warm again, and a high near 90 degrees. Currently, we have a clear sky. It's 58 downtown at the Arch.
It is 6:52, Total Information AM. On Monday mornings, we're joined at this time by CBS business analyst Jill Schlesinger, JillOnMoney.com. Good morning, Jill.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Well, reading your latest post, your question you're asking is, what is the outlook for the housing market this fall? So give us the details.
Well, it's very interesting, actually, because there's sort of like a bifurcation in the market between new homes and existing homes. New home sales, the activity's picked up quite a bit. And I think partially because the builders give a lot of incentives. Say, hey, we want to get you into this house. We'll help buy the mortgage down. They'll work on price. So it's a little bit more flexibility there. On the other hand, in the existing homes, which is really more like about 80% of the whole market, of the share of the housing market, it's not been so great. We still have these core issues at play in the housing market. Prices are higher than they were 5 years ago. So the median home price nationally, about $440,000. Well, that's a lot. And it is up, 30-40% from 5 years ago. We also know that although mortgage rates have come down, they're still high. 6.3% is a big jump from, say, a few years back when we were talking about 3.5%. So affordability really continues to be the issue that weighs on the overall real estate market.
Are there solutions for that if you can't afford that down payment?
Well, I think there's a couple of things to think about. Number one is there are a lot of homeowners, programs around the country. There are down payment assistance programs, and there's a company called Down Payment Resource, which tracks all these programs nationwide. And then, of course, there's the Bank of M&D. You know what that is? Mom and dad. Okay. See, I caught you a little early with that. Now, are you going to ask for help from your family? Here is the thing to ask yourself. Like, number one, once you ask your parents, they're involved. Okay. That's a thing, right? And the other is for the parents. If you're going to be giving assistance to one child, does that mean you have to make it equal with the other child or children? So you have to ask yourself that. Whatever you decide to do, I think it's important to be clear about whether this is a gift or a loan, and everything should be put in writing to avoid a very nasty future Thanksgiving where something erupts and turkey legs are flying.
Always very good things to think about. You always bring up those good points, Jill. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Jill on Money.com, CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger with us. It's 6:55.
I heard it's somebody's birthday.
Birthday excitement. It's your birthday.
And today's KMOX birthday shout out sponsored by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back, family owned and top rated, RennerDoorSTL.com.
Hello, and welcome to our special Real Sports Overtime. I'm Bryant Gumbel.
TV anchor Bryant Gumbel celebrating his 77th birthday today. NBA star Kevin Durant is 36. Comedian Andrew Dice Clay is 68. And TV composer Mike Post is 81.
Also, local celebrity birthdays. Penny Brand celebrating a birthday yesterday. Also, Marie Casey had a birthday yesterday. Happy birthday to Donna Burns, who also celebrated yesterday. Happy birthday to Dana Jenkins of Springfield, Missouri, from Babu and all the family. Happy birthday to Jeremy Schaffner from the Spring family, and happy anniversary to David and Sue Murphy.
This is the best birthday ever.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. That's right, weight loss seminar at the Marriott St. Louis West in St. Louis at 11 a.m. Registration 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original Overhead Door. I say that emphatically because there are some companies that try to copy the name. So how do you know you have the right one? You should know by now. It is the Red Ribbon. That's right. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the ones with the red ribbon. Why do you want to go with them? Because they were the first. They're the ones who invented the overhead garage door. They're the ones with so many great technicians that work throughout the week. You can call 314-781-5200 and get same-day service, nights and weekends as well. You can go to overheaddoorstlouis.com and click schedule now. You can also click get a quote if you want to get a number on what a new garage door would cost, what it would look like. Also, just schedule service. They'll come over. They're not going to oversell or, try to upsell you. They're just going to come over and take care of you. That's what they're all about. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Believe me, I've been working with them for over a decade now. I would not tell you otherwise. They only sell you what you need. They prioritize the well-being of you, which I really appreciate. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgeier of Fira Capital Management for your retirement highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, registered investment advisors. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. We are focusing on the Siteman Kids program at St. Louis Children's Hospital, and joining us is Dr. Mohammed Abdul-Baki.
Any program around the country that has neuro-oncologists specifically trained in neuro-oncology, this is where I would look for a second opinion. And of course, if we're talking about St. Louis, we are the top program in Missouri that has trained pediatric neuro-oncologists. In addition to expertise in neurosurgery, radiation oncology, we have the latest proton therapy facility here at Siteman Cancer Center, endocrinology, neurology, rehabilitation medicine, ophthalmology, dermatology. So there are so many specialties that you need to have in order for you to be to have comprehensive care for your child.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
Just about 7 o'clock. Frank Ladd watching the roads for us from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Scott, you're on the brakes northbound on Highway 55, north of Highway 61 into Festus. We had an earlier crash and fuel spill at Highway A there. Northbound on Highway 55, you're going to see some delays into the roadwork zone starting at Weber Road, headed through South City. Westbound 5564 crossing the Poplar, we are delay-free. Our next traffic update at 7:10. Frank Ladd of the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Cleared 59 degrees downtown. I'm Tom Ackerman. These are the stories making news. Democrats are scheduled to meet with President Trump in hopes of preventing a government shutdown.
I'm Scott Jagow.
I'm Maria Aquino with what an Illinois congresswoman is saying about the potential federal government shutdown.
Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe signed the state's new congressional map into law Sunday.
I'm Sean Malone. Could a congressional race in St. Louis that garnered national attention last year be set for a rematch a year from now? I've got that story coming up.
2 mass shootings over the weekend, 4 dead in Michigan, 3 in North Carolina.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is the CBS News World News Roundup, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Police near Flint, Michigan are still working on a motive after at least 4 people were killed at a Latter-day Saints church. They say a 40-year-old local Marine veteran drove his car through the front doors during Sunday services, opened fire, then set the building on fire before he was shot and killed by police. CBS's Ian Lee is there.
Grand Blank's police chief says within 30 seconds of receiving the first calls, officers arrived on scene.
They engaged in gunfire with that particular individual, neutralizing that suspect, and that suspect is no longer with us.
10 gunshot victims were taken to the hospital where 2 died.
On Saturday, a man in a boat killed 3 people when he fired into a crowd in Southport, North Carolina. President Trump is scheduled to meet with both Republican and Democratic leaders this afternoon, with no clear path to avoiding a government shutdown at 12:01 a.m. Wednesday. Correspondent Nancy Cordes from the White House.
What Democrats are pushing for is to extend enhanced Obamacare tax credits, which are set to expire at the end of this year. If they are not renewed, average premiums on the exchange would rise by an estimated 75%.
Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe has signed a new congressional map into law.
President Trump has been pushing for the controversial new map that boosts the Republicans' chances of gaining an additional House seat in next year's midterm elections. But some residents aren't too happy about it.
I would appreciate it if my district better represented who I am and who this neighborhood is.
It's not a done deal yet, though.
I'm hopeful that there's so many problems in it that whomever our judicial system will stop it.
Stacey Lynn, CBS News.
President meets with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu at the White House today to discuss ending the war with Hamas. Former Middle East negotiator Aaron David Miller.
I think that Donald Trump would like to see the hostages freed and Hamas eliminated. But I don't think he's prepared, at least yet anyway, to bring any kind of pressure on the Israeli prime minister to end the war.
There's a tropical storm and a hurricane swirling in the Atlantic Ocean. Eric Blake at the National Hurricane Center.
Umberto is located roughly 375 miles southwest of Bermuda. It's a Category 4 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 130 miles per hour. Moving to the northwest at 14 miles per hour. Right now we have a tropical storm watch in effect for Bermuda.
That is a heads up on Imelda. Both systems could churn up rough surf and trigger flooding along the southeast U.S. coast. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Do you hear that? Asthma triggers are everywhere, from dust mites, pet dander, and pollen, to smog and smoke. An asthma attack can strike anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed.
Ooh, ma.
What was that?
That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very
calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
At 7:04, it is clear and 57 downtown at the Gateway Arch. Today is Monday, September 29th. Good morning. I'm Scott Jagow.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. The news is sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station. We'll have the full forecast coming up for you in just a bit at 7:10, including another warm-up as we go along this week. As heard on CBS News, Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe signed the state's new congressional map into law yesterday, a move designed to increase the Republican representation in the U.S. House from the current 6-2 split to a potential 7-1 majority.
This is about clarity for voters and ownership of our future. And with the Missouri First map, we can deliver.
That's what Governor Kehoe said in late August before calling the legislature into special session to approve a congressional redistricting map in September. The new map, which passed the Republican-controlled legislature largely along party lines, targets the district of Democratic Representative Emanuel Cleaver of Kansas City. The new line split Cleaver's district into 3 and adds conservative rural territory.
The Missouri State Conference of the NAACP is challenging this new map. The president, Nimrod Chappell Jr., called the process a constitutional crisis. He claims the governor improperly called a special session to rush the map through without debate, and he alleges it intentionally segregates black people in Kansas City. He also says organizers have begun a campaign to gather signatures for a statewide referendum. If successful, that would put the map on the ballot for Missouri voters to decide.
An Illinois lawmaker says the failure to pass a continuing resolution to keep the government open could cause people in her district to lose both their insurance and Medicaid.
I think of Chestnut, which is a healthcare provider, a community health center in Granite City. They are almost 80 to 85% reliant on Medicaid dollars.
And Chestnut helps provide for those who are going through substance abuse treatment programs.
They need temporary housing. These folks could otherwise end up in really bad situations. Medicaid prevents that. And so, in short, I mean, a lot of this government shutdown, as Democrats, we have to stand up and make sure that healthcare is accessible and affordable for everyone. And those that are needing mental health treatment, they should be getting that.
And Baczynski says while it would not be easy getting Republicans to agree to a new funding bill, she remains hopeful. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Missouri lawmakers striving to make addiction treatment more accessible.
State Representative John Black of Marshfield heads up a task force that's been receiving testimony from those involved in the industry. He says 2 big concerns they've identified as roadblocks are transportation and housing. Black predicts some of the task force recommendations to the legislature will be budgetary.
Put more money in this program or that program. We have a advantage compared to the budget generally in that we have external sources of funding.
Those sources, the opioid settlement money and the recreational marijuana tax revenue. Brad Choate, KMOX News.
Clearing snow from Missouri roads is not cheap. MoDOT Director Ed Hassinger says the state spends more than $50 million a year on snow removal. And with winter on the way, they are getting ready to do it all over again.
Last year's winter was, while not a lot of events, there were some really big ones, an ice storm in South Missouri and then a big snowstorm that came through the middle. We spent almost $70 million on snow last year. So I'm all for less snow.
Hassinger tells MissouriNet MoDOT's biggest need right now is people. Both 8-hour and 12-hour shifts are available.
Business Desk is sponsored by Krentz Financial Group, KFGadvisors.com, and it'll be a changing of the guard for the Cardinals this week. The team is planning a couple of press conferences, one for current president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak, the other for his successor, Chaim Bloom. KMOX will carry both events live. Mozeliak will speak today at noon, Bloom tomorrow at 10 a.m. Bloom's been with the Cardinals for 2 seasons. He was formerly an executive with the Red Sox and Tampa Bay Rays. Mosaic has served in his role since 2007.
It's 7:08. Traffic and weather next.
Hey, St. Louis, this is Ben Barnett, board-certified master arborist and owner at Timberline Professional Tree Care. As a local small business owner for the past 24 years, I always do my best to shop local and support our community. Recently, 2 of the largest tree contractors in the region have sold to out-of-town investment groups. This means that the new owners of these companies are not invested in quality, customer satisfaction, or safety, except for how it affects their bottom line. Timberline Professional Tree Care was founded in 2001 and is focused solely on giving you, the customer, the safest, highest quality product while providing the best customer service before, during, and after the job. I've poured my heart and soul into tree care for the past 24 years, and we aren't going anywhere. When it comes time to take care of your trees, I ask that you shop local and call me, Ben Barnett, at Timberline Professional Tree Care, 636-479-7475, or online at stltreecare.com.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-894-7722. That's 800-894-7722. Again, 800-894-7722.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
It is 7:10. Let's check on the roads. Frank Ladd is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Scott, we just had a scanner call for a crash southbound on Highway 270 at St. Charles Rock Road, but they moved the cameras around, and we haven't found anything on the cameras, not see any delays. So that's the good news. They may have moved it off to the side already, and it's not causing any issues. We do have a pocket of volume into the work zone northbound at 55 at Weber Road. You've got heavier pockets now northbound on Highway 270. Those start at Tesson Ferry, back on the brakes again at Gravois. Heavier now in north of Doherty Ferry, headed up towards Manchester Road. Into downtown St. Louis, we are delay-free westbound on Highway 5564 crossing the Poplar Street Bridge, westbound on Highway 70 crossing the Musial Veterans Bridge. And we've got some emergency bridge repair coming up in the Metro East near Pocahontas, eastbound Highway 70 at Shoal Creek. They're going to knock you down a lane there, and those repairs start at 7:30 this morning, headed eastbound on Highway 70 at Shoal Creek near Pocahontas, 7:30 a.m., and those should extend through to Wednesday. I'm Frank Ladd with traffic in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Plenty of sunshine today and quite warm this afternoon, high 89. Clear tonight, down to 55 in some of the cooler suburbs, 63 downtown at the Arch. Sunshine mixing with clouds tomorrow and very warm, the high close to 90. The record is 93 from 1952. It'll remain warm Wednesday with sun through high clouds, the high temperature 84. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
The sun is up in downtown St. Louis, 60 in Florissant, 58 in St. Peters, 59 degrees downtown at the Arch.
It's 7:12. 3 people were killed in a traffic crash on I-55 in Jefferson County yesterday. Highway Patrol says the driver of an 18-wheeler wasn't paying attention. Traffic slowed down before reaching Festus on northbound 55, and he rammed into the back of a sedan, killing 2 people from Memphis, Tennessee, both 63. When the car was hit, it caused a chain reaction. A woman from Rossville, Tennessee, and a man from Barnhart had serious injuries. 2 others had moderate injuries, and the troopers arrested 45-year-old Richard Holden of Louisiana, and he's facing 3 counts of involuntary manslaughter.
In Chicago, a Saturday protest over the use of force by federal agents outside an immigration processing center. Omar Flores is a spokesperson for the Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression.
We're hoping to get to the point where we could actually take some sort of action against these federal agents that are operating outside of the law.
A spokesperson with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office says they don't have jurisdiction over federal agents or facilities.
She was class of 58, grad of Sumner High School in St. Louis, but the late Tina Turner was actually born in Tennessee.
Love for Tina Turner has everything to do with this. The Grammy-winning singer of songs such as Proud Mary, We Don't Need Another Hero, and What's Love Got to Do With It was honored Saturday in the Tennessee town of Brownsville, where she grew up, with a 10-foot statue to the Queen of Rock and Roll. The statue shows Turner with her signature wild hairstyle holding a mic. Tina Turner died May 2023 at age 83. I'm Donna Warder.
A longtime former KMOX news reporter has died. Steve Shoemaker, who worked in the KMOX newsroom in the 80s and 90s, died at the age of 67. Fred Bottomer remembers him fondly.
Steve was both a great friend and a great reporter whom I had the fortune of getting to know in the 80s while we were both getting started at KMOX. He always had an ear for police scanners, which helped him break a lot of stories. But I'll remember him most for his friendship and his kindness to me when we were both getting started in the news business.
Steve won numerous awards while at KMOX for his writing and reporting, and after leaving us, he went to KMOV, where he worked for years as an assignment editor.
The football season at Roosevelt High School is already over. The school canceled the rest of the schedule because injuries had depleted the team, making it unsafe to play. But parent Julia Perkins tells Fox 2 the way it was handled was disappointing.
They've been practicing since February, and for this abrupt conclusion of the season with no alternative, it's so unfair. It's unfair.
School officials say the team's roster had dwindled to just 19 players.
Football yesterday, the Chiefs beat the Ravens 37-20, a 40-40 tie between the Packers and Dallas down in Arlington. The Bills and the Eagles are the lone remaining undefeated teams in the league. A new number one in college football, that's Ohio State. But a new number two, I should say. Ohio State's been number one for 5 weeks now. Oregon is the new number two, getting in there after beating Penn State. Penn State drops to 7. Here's the top 10. Ohio State, Oregon, Miami, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Penn State, Indiana, Texas, and Alabama. Missouri moves up to 19. They move up one spot. Illinois moves up a spot to 22. Mizzou has the weekend off. They will host Alabama on October 11th. Illinois has a Purdue game on the road this weekend, and then they host Ohio State next weekend. As for baseball, we have the playoffs covered. We have a postseason picture for you, but first, let's recap the Cardinals in their final game at Wrigley.
With Ricky Horton, I'm John Rooney. The season came to a close yesterday at Wrigley Field in Chicago as the Cubs got a home run from Seiya Suzuki, added a seventh-inning run, and shut out the Cardinals 2-0.
It was a bullpen game for the Cardinals, and it was Kyle Leahy who started it. He went 3 solid innings. That really is a good sign for 2026. He's going to be vying for a spot in the rotation, but the Cubs were able to sweep the Cardinals, and the Cardinals end on a 4-game losing streak.
The Cardinals got a good outing from Leahy in the start, a very good outing from Matt Swanson, and we can say the same for Riley O'Brien, with John King and Fernandez giving up the run.
Yeah, there were some good signs of the Cardinals all season long, but not enough for the Cardinals to make it into the playoffs. Here's hoping for next year.
We say a big thank you to all of our affiliates along the Cardinals Radio Network. Our next broadcast will come your way in late February from Jupiter, Florida in spring training. 2-0 Cubs yesterday at Wrigley Field.
The Gas House Gang will continue all off-season long, beginning today with a live news conference at noon. John Mozeliak at Busch Stadium, the outgoing president of baseball operations, and then tomorrow at 10 a.m., live on KMOX. It's the first press conference for new president of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom. Tomorrow, right after that, the playoffs begin at 12:08. It's Detroit at Cleveland. The Guardians, the AL Central champions, after once being 15.5 out in the division. That was back on July 6th. They host the Tigers tomorrow. It's Padres at Cubs at 2:08 tomorrow. Red Sox at Yankees at 5:08. Reds at Dodgers at 8:08. The playoffs begin tomorrow, and we will have full reaction and coverage to whatever the Cardinals say as well. Chaim Bloom, all eyes on that tomorrow at 10, that's for sure. The Ryder Cup won by Europe, but overshadowed was the unruly behavior by the United States fans at Bethpage Black. My discussion with Dan Reardon on that on the way at 7:22. This is the voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM KMOX.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at EnduranceWarranty.com. Auto repair bills are through the roof. $3,000 to replace the transmission. $4,000 for a blown engine. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all out of pocket. You need an Endurance Auto Protection Plan. No matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical system, transmission, AC, drivetrain, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done at the certified mechanic of your choice, and they're paid directly with no middleman. Plans cover 24/7 roadside assistance, towing, battery jumps, fuel deliveries, tire changes, lockout services, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Act now and get our elite benefits, including complete tire care and key fob replacement. A $2,000 value at no extra cost. With Endurance, you could never pay for covered auto repairs again, so call now for your free quote. Call 800-458-3124. 800-458-3124. 800-458-3124.
The amazing Nissan Now sales event is on at St. Charles Nissan. Thank you for making us the #1 Nissan dealer in Missouri for 2024. This month, take $10,000 off MSRP or get 0% APR for 72 months on a new 2024 Murano. Or take $7,000 off MSRP or get 0% APR for 60 months on a new 2024 Rogue. Hurry in. These amazing offers end February 28th. Visit us online at stcharlesnissan.com. Call 636-244-8448 for details.
Total Information AM. Debbie Monterey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 7:20 on this Monday morning. Traffic and weather together. Let's start with Frank Ladd in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Scott, we got the all clear from the folks in Jefferson County, northbound on Highway 55 at the Festus exit. They've got all the vehicles out of the way, all lanes back open there. That's the good news. North of there, great run headed up towards Highway 270 and 255. Northbound on Highway 55, you're on the brakes at Weber Road into the road construction zone. Then a decent run through South City. No problems to report there. A little more volume northbound on Highway 270 now, north of 55 up through about Gravway. Back on the brakes again, starting at about Doherty Ferry, south of Doherty Ferry now, headed up through Manchester Road and through to Highway 64. And that reports of that accident southbound on Highway 270 at St. Charles Rock Road, just before St. Charles Rock Road. MoDOT is saying it is blocking the right lane, so you could have a hesitation slow down there south of 370 approaching the Rock Road. Our next traffic update at 7:30. I'm Frank Lett in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
It's going to be very, very warm this week. We're going to get a high of 90 degrees tomorrow, 89 today, might as well be 90. And between today and tomorrow, we drop down to about 60, but man, very warm. A record actually for tomorrow is 93, set back in 1952. Wednesday, very warm with sun through some high clouds, a high of 84 degrees. Peeking ahead to Thursday and Friday, much of the same. We're looking at highs each day around 86, 87 degrees. Right now, we are looking at a clear sky. The sun is up. It is 60 downtown at the Arch. Weather sponsored by Compassion International. Every day, a child in poverty waits for a sponsor, and that's another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids waiting for over a year. And their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393. It's 7:22. Rory McIlroy helped Europe win the Ryder Cup and then called out the hostile New York crowd for unacceptable and abusive behavior. Over his 5 matches at Bethpage Black, McIlroy endured a torrent of insults about everything from his personal life to past failures on the golf course. People shouted as he lined up to swing and putt. Someone threw a beer at his wife. During the European team's winning news conference, McIlroy said golf should be held to a higher standard for fan behavior. He noted that the hecklers were a minority in the crowd of true golf fans. That said, I talked it over with KMOX senior golf editor Dan Reardon.
Good morning, Tom. I'm celebrating the fact that I chose not to exercise my credential and be in New York.
What the heck is going on up there? Let me start with this, and then I'll let you go, because I witnessed it, and so did you, at Bethpage in 2019 at the PGA Championship. I walked inside the ropes with Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka, of all people, and followed them around. They were actually playing against each other, and they weren't on the final day, and not in the same foursome. DJ was trying to catch Koepka, if I recall, but they were receiving all kinds of heckling from the crowd. Two American players, mind you. I mean, at one point, somebody yelled out, "Paulina, where's Paulina?" to DJ, and he stopped in the middle of his swing and before he addressed the ball and said, "Can you please stop?" And Koepka, of course, was getting heckled because people don't like Koepka. American players. Now you have Europeans who are dominating the United States in the Ryder Cup. I knew it was going to be rough on them, Dan. I did not think it would get that ugly as it did yesterday.
Joel Beal from Golf Digest spent 9 holes with Rory yesterday, detailing the abuse that he was getting from the crowd. This was not heckling. This was not cheering. This was vile behavior with language that is never going to be repeated anywhere on the air. And sadly, 8 years ago, I directly warned Rory of this circumstance. You know that I've talked on the air that I spent 2 days on the course at Hazeltine with Rory. I apologized to his fiance on Saturday. After the U.S. won at Hazeltine in the European press conference, I apologized in that conference to Rory as an American, and I said, this is going to get worse. What can we do about it? And Rory said, these people have been out on the course from 8 in the morning drinking until late in the afternoon. These kinds of things are happening. This was not drinking. This was just vile, unprecedented behavior, not just in golf, but anywhere in sports.
It's unbelievable. And what did they say? Of course, we're not going to repeat it, as Dan said, but I'll tell you, there were homophobic slurs. There was, of course, jokes about Shane Lowry's weight, which seems very light compared to what Rory received. There were chants that started with F, directed directly at Rory. I mean, do people understand that Rory McIlroy, who just won the Masters and was universally applauded by everyone in America, and who spends a lot of his time living in the United States in Jupiter, Florida, likes America? I just don't get it. What in the world are people thinking?
Well, in addition to that, in his pre-tournament press conference, Rory raved about how privileged he felt to be living in the U.S., that he always wanted to visit this country and never realized what a great country it is and how fortunate we are to live in this country. But that doesn't change the fact that, they turned 50,000 people loose on Long Island. And, I didn't want to be in New York because I didn't want to be around New Yorkers on the golf course, Tom. You saw a small sample size in 2019, and it's going to get worse unless they come up with a solution. And I can't tell you what that solution is.
It's stupid. It really is, to show up at a golf course and think that you're going to, I don't even know what to compare it to. I really don't. I mean, you think about the ugliest, toughest, roughest, craziest sports out there. They're not like that. And this is golf, for crying out loud. But I'm not sure that we ever get a Ryder Cup. I would never say never. We're going to have the President's Cup here in 2030. We've had the Ryder Cup here in 1971 at Old Warson Country Club, back when the United States played Great Britain, and Lee Trevino and Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer, just part of that U.S. team that won back in 1971. But Belle Reve has held its fair share of events. We're going to have the BMW Championship next year. The PGA Championship, Tiger Woods raved about the galleries and how they treated everyone, as boisterous as they were. I have to anticipate that some good showings are coming here. I just would never see a St. Louis crowd doing that.
I think what we saw is, and I'm sorry to say, I think what we saw is more New York than it is Ryder Cup. Mm-hmm. And I think that literally the Irish will be revved up at Adair, and the Minnesotans will be revved up at Hazeltine. But I don't think, I think the next big problem they face is that the U.S. Open goes to Shinnecock, and you might get traces of that once again on Long Island.
Be well, my friend. Always great to hear your analysis, and glad you're at home and not at Bethpage in that circus.
Both of us are like that, Tom. Thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
The time is 7:28. Your time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Well, Jim Brennan did it again. He presented a check for well over $30,000 to the Dravet Syndrome Foundation. This is what they do. They just give money to nonprofits throughout the year. They are a tremendous organization, the Dravet Syndrome Foundation. Dravet syndrome is a rare form of epilepsy, But McKelvey Homes was also the presenting sponsor of the Dance for Gervais on Friday night. And they raised, are you ready for this? $850,000 and counting. Looks like they got to about $900,000 on Friday night at the Third Degree Glass Factory for the Gervais Syndrome Foundation. That is big time money, big time donors, incredible generosity by everybody there. McKelvey Homes, they've been here since 1898, Missouri's oldest home builder and the best. There were people there talking about the homes that they bought from McKelvey. McKelvey Homes has been looking at home sites throughout the St. Louis area. They always pick the best, and they build the most beautiful homes. McKelveyhomes.com to learn more. McKelveyhomes.com. Move up to McKelvey.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
It is 7:30, sunny skies right now. We have 58 degrees downtown at the Gateway Arch. Good morning. I'm Scott Jagow.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Here's Frank Ladd in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Tom Modat is reporting they've got that crash over on the right shoulder now. It's southbound on Highway 270 before the Rock Road. Not seeing major delays through that stretch there. Northbound on 55, we are seeing that volume into the roadwork zone from before Weber Road, headed up towards South City of the Good Run, headed towards downtown St. Louis. And a few more headlights, taillights, northbound on Highway 270 between 55 and 44. You're back on the brakes again, starting at about Big Bend, headed up towards Manchester Road. Southbound 170, starting to fill in that left lane, approaching Highway 64. And we're busy through the Central County corridor there, eastbound on Highway 64 now, between McKnight and Big Bend. Our next traffic update at 7:40. I'm Frank Ladd of the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's going to be pretty warm the next few days. Temperatures around 89 today. Overnight, we're in the 50s to about 60, and then back up to 90 degrees for tomorrow. The record is 93 that was set in 1952. Staying in the 80s Wednesday and Thursday, more mid-80s. And again, Friday, still warm. Joe Lundberg, our AccuWeather meteorologist, says it'll be about 88 on Friday, and the warm weather could continue into the weekend. Right now, it's 57 in St. Peter, 62 in Florissant, 57 downtown.
It's 7:31. The University of Missouri's president, Mun Choi, is publicly demanding action from Columbia city leaders and the Boone County prosecutor following a triple shooting downtown Saturday that critically injured a Stevens College student. Choi called the situation an emergency and wants increased police presence and full prosecution of crimes, threatening to involve Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe if the city is complacent about crime and homelessness. Mayor Barbara Buffalo responded by announcing a task force of city, county, and university leaders to address safety. Choi also confirmed he has ordered Mizzou police to patrol downtown.
We could see a rematch between Wesley Bell and Cori Bush next year. The Post-Dispatch says Cori Bush is set to launch her campaign for her old congressional seat this week. Stephen Rogers is a SLU political science professor and YouGov poll director. He tells us Bush already faces an uphill battle to a rare comeback victory with her husband's indictment and the tornado in May making matters worse.
Here, there are a lot of displaced voters, particularly kind of in North St. Louis, in which was more of a home ground for Cori Bush's support. And then here, we don't know how many of those voters are going to participate in 2026.
A spokesperson for Bell says he's focused on making life better for voters, and that is the case he will make on the campaign trail.
There's one fewer candidate running for Congress in Central Illinois' 15th district.
One of the things I learned about in my 48 years in radio was how to not only hear, but listen.
Retired St. Louis radio announcer Randy Raley announced on social media Saturday that he recently suffered a heart attack, so he's ending his congressional bid a few months after it began. Quoting Raley's message to supporters, "This hurts deeply, as I do believe I would have won the Democratic primary and I would have defeated Mary Miller in the general election." Raley said there are 3 other announced candidates on the Democrat side, and he'll support whichever one wins the primary. Miller also faces opposition in the GOP primary. Brad Choate, KMOX News.
The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Coming up next, it's your Bloomberg Report, 734.
Ouch! Checked from behind. Man, that's gotta hurt.
I'd hire Morgan & Morgan if I were them.
What?
Yeah, Dan, America's largest injury law firm. They serve up justice, ice, cold, law. Know what I mean?
I guess.
Their gloves come off when they fight for you.
Okay.
I'm talking a settlement slap shot.
Shouldn't we be talking about the game?
Yeah, Dan, Morgan & Morgan.
Proud partner of the St. Louis Blues. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Here's a few questions for you from California Psychics. Do your workdays seem to go on forever? Is your career progression as fast as downtown traffic? Or does your boss still not know your name?
Hey, you, Tina, Lisa, Sheila, whatever. Get that report to me by lunch, okay? It's Carrie, ma'am. Just get it done, Terry.
It's time to read the career warning signs and talk to California Psychics. We're always on hand to give you the career guidance you need. You see, we only connect you with the very best. In fact, 98% of the psychics who apply to work with us don't make the grade. That's why we can guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. So you could soon be telling your boss where to stick that report.
Where are you going, Terry? Terry!
Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics. Call 1-800-PREDICT today and get 20 minutes for just $20.
Your money report from Bloomberg, sponsored by UC Bank.
Good morning. This will be a big week for economic indicators, and the highlight will be the September employment report, which is due out on Friday. But the report will be delayed if a government shutdown begins on Wednesday. President Trump will meet with congressional leaders at the White House today to try to work out a plan to keep the government open. Contract talks resumed today between representatives of Boeing and the union that represents machinists in the company's military aircraft division. 3,400 Boeing workers have been on strike since early August, affecting 3 Midwest plants that produce fighter jets and weapons. The monthly report on pending sales of existing homes will be out after the markets open this morning. And no stock market records were set on Friday, but Wall Street ended the week with a positive session. The major averages had gains ranging from 0.4% to 0.7%. With your Bloomberg Money Report, I'm Kimberly Adams on the Voice of St. Louis, 104.1 FM KMOX.
Since we opened our doors in 1868, Busey has fostered deep customer relationships and vibrant communities, embodying a legacy of partnership and progress. With multiple lines of business, we provide a range of financial solutions tailored to your needs. From digital banking to planning for retirement, Busey is here to help you achieve your financial goals. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868.
Well, there are
Member
a lot
FDIC.
a lot of companies out there, but as the leading fence and deck company in St. Louis, why would you choose Chesterfield Fence and Deck? They take pride in offering exceptional products and services. Here's why so many homeowners choose them: for their outdoor transformations. Decades of experience, for one. They've been around since 1968. They've built strong relationships with top manufacturers. When you are in business for that long, Chesterfield Fence and Deck, fencing, decking, outdoor products meet the highest standards for quality, ensuring long-lasting performance. Their specialized technicians are trained to handle every detail with precision. They don't send any crew to your home without proper training, so you can trust your project is in good hands from start to finish with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. And then safety. Safety is at the forefront of their process. From installation to project management, they prioritize safe, efficient practices, making Chesterfield Fence and Deck the safest fence and deck company St. Louis has to offer. Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Visit them at chesterfieldfence.com. Mention me, Tom Ackerman. You'll receive 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign you have, the very best.
This is Kyle Bush with Crinch Financial Group. For over 6 decades, we've helped St. Louis families and businesses plan with purpose and live with confidence. Life changes, divorce, loss of a loved one, or an inheritance. It can be overwhelming. We provide the resources, long-standing support, and thoughtful guidance you need to plan ahead. With our help and experience, you don't have to navigate these transitions alone. You can move forward with greater clarity and confidence. Your goals, our mission. Start today at kfgadvisors.com.
Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services. Member FINRA/SIPC. Prince Financial Group is not a broker-dealer.
Celebrate the month of September with Zero Res and get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129. Take $75 off your air duct cleaning as well. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of these huge savings. Spell it forward, spell it backwards. Always spells the same. Zero Res.
The countdown to kickoff starts here. Friday's focus on Mizzou, the Chiefs, and the NFL, only on KMOX.
It's Total Information AM at 7:39. One of the most famous Tuskegee Airmen has died at the age of 100.
The last of the Tuskegee Airmen's World War II combat pilots, George Hardy, has died. The National Office of the Tuskegee Airmen calls the lieutenant colonel a true American hero. At the age of 19, Hardy was the youngest Red Tail fighter to fly his first combat sortie over Europe as part of the legendary unit. He was stationed in Italy during World War II and went on to complete 21 missions. The Tuskegee Airmen say his legacy is one of courage, resilience, tremendous skill, and dogged perseverance against racism, prejudice, and other evils. Hardy was among the first Black military pilots in the nation. Allison Keyes, CBS News.
By the way, he also flew 70 combat missions in Vietnam.
This report is sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
And in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center, it's Frank Ladd. We got some stuff going on out there.
Maybe a handful of heavier pockets, Tom. The incidents are long gone. That's the good news. They cleared the incident out of the way on 55 at Festus. The incident on southbound 270 at the Rock Road is gone as well. But we've got delays into the roadwork zone from north of Rebus Barracks, northbound on Highway 55, headed towards the road construction. A good run through South City, though. Headed towards northbound Highway 270. You've got pockets of volume now at Tesson Ferry, Gravel. You're on the brakes north of Highway 44 all the way up through to Highway 64. Coming in from St. Charles County, not bad on eastbound Highway 64, crossing the Boone Bridge. You're busy coming up the hill, though, passing Clarkson eastbound on Highway 64, and then in pockets headed towards Highway 270. Filled in southbound on Highway 170 now from the Parkway, headed towards Highway 64, and mainly that left lane ramping onto eastbound Highway 64. Eastbound Highway 64 is heavy in pockets from before McKnight out to Big Bend, and you've got a pocket of volume passing Forest Park on westbound Highway 64. Your garage door is always there for you, rain or shine. Are you taking your garage door for granted? Is it screeching and whining for attention? For same-day service, call 314-781-5200 or schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. Our next traffic update at 7:50. I'm Frank Ladd in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
And now it's time to check on your forecast for the week. We have AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg joining us. Joe, pretty warm as we get into October here.
Oh, no question about it. We're about 10 degrees above the historical average and then some. 89 with sunshine today, Scott. And looks like tonight should be clear with temperatures dropping into the mid and upper 50s in many suburbs. 63 downtown at the Arch. Sunshine will start to mix with a few clouds tomorrow, but it's not going to stop us from getting close to 90. A little shy of the record of 93 that was set in 1952. High clouds are enough to dim the sunshine completely on Wednesday. That means our high only 84. I say only in quotes there. It gets to 86 under partly sunny skies Thursday. Then sunny skies on Friday. We warm to 88 and we'll be in the upper 80s to near 90 to start the weekend. Right now it's 59 at St. Peter's, 61 in Florissant, sunny and 64 downtown at the Arch. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's 7:42. Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco are married. The pair exchanged vows Saturday in Santa Barbara. The bride and groom both wore Ralph Lauren for the occasion. Gomez carried a simple bouquet of white flowers. Previously, the couple said they wanted their wedding day to be pretty casual. Blanco said his one wedding must-have was pickles. Wedding guests included Taylor Swift, Paul Rudd, and her Only Murders co-stars Steve Martin and Martin Short.
I do like pickles, though.
Pickles are good.
If you're looking for a spouse, you probably ask friends to fix you up, go to a singles event, maybe sign up on a dating site. Or like one woman frustrated with those choices, you might put up a billboard with your website on it.
42-year-old Lisa Catalano was looking for a husband, but couldn't find one in the usual places. So she bought 8-second-long ads displayed on digital billboards along a highway near San Francisco during the morning and evening commutes.
I never thought that this would be something that I would do.
The ad sends possible suitors to her website, marylisa.com.
I figured, what, I'm just going to make my own website. And I kind of channeled my frustration a little bit into that. And then I was thinking, well, I have to promote the website somehow. How am I going to do that?
Catalano says she's laser focused on finding the right man and starting a family. Christopher Cruz, CBS News.
In case you're interested, Catalano runs her own vintage clothing store and creates lifestyle content on YouTube. She also loves cats, bright colors, and a nice glass of wine.
Okay. We now know who's performing at the Super Bowl.
Bad Bunny posts a video on social media with him sitting on a field goal on the beach with the caption Super Bowl Bay Area February 2026. The 60th edition of the Super Bowl will be played on Sunday, February 8th on NBC. The halftime show is historically the most watched performance of the year. The 31-year-old is fresh off concluding his sold-out residency in Puerto Rico. Matt Piper, CBS News.
Who's going to play in the Super Bowl this year? There are 2 undefeated teams right now. That's it. At 4-0, we'll see if they end up colliding in Santa Clara. Will it be Bills, Eagles? It'd be a pretty good Super Bowl if it was. Those are the 2 undefeated teams. Chiefs might have something to say about that. They've climbed their way back. They're 2-2. After beating the Ravens 37-20. Packers and Cowboys ended in a 40-40 tie last night. Ohio State still number 1 in college football, 5th straight week for them. We have a bit of a shuffle because 3, 4, and 5 all lost this past week. Penn State, LSU, and Georgia. So here's how it looks now. Ohio State, Oregon, 1-2. Oregon beat Penn State, jumps from 6-2. Miami is 3rd, followed by Ole Miss and Oklahoma. The rest of the top 10, Texas A&M, Penn State, Indiana, Texas, and Alabama. Missouri jumps up 1 spot to 19. Illinois, after beating USC, moves up 1 spot to 22. Baseball's postseason looks like this. Starting tomorrow, it's Detroit at Cleveland. That's the first wild card game. The Cleveland Guardians are AL Central champions. Back on July 6th, they were 15.5 games out. The Tigers, who lost that division title, will be playing them in the first wild card game tomorrow at 12:08 in Cleveland. At 2:08, Padres at Cubs, first round wild card series there. The wild card series in New York will be Red Sox Yankees at 5:08. And then the late game tomorrow, the Cincinnati Reds, the final wild card team in the National League. The Mets got knocked out. And the Reds, the 3rd NL Central team to make the postseason, will visit the Dodgers. In the National League, the Brewers and the Phillies get byes. In the American League, it's the Blue Jays and the Mariners. As for the Cardinals, they lost. Final was 2-0 at Wrigley Field. Their season comes to an end. And their manager, Ollie Marmol, addressed the media, FanDuel Sports Network Midwest.
Yeah, I mean, what I told the guys is we set out in spring training to do something, and that was create a style of play that we can be proud of when it comes to not giving in, and they stuck to it. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of games where they could have. There's parts in the season where they could have, and they didn't. When it comes to the record, sure, you always want to do better, and I wish we would have been able to do that. But when it comes to the roster and style of play and what we created and what we're going to build on, I'm proud of our guys. Even today, again, I mean, they're taking the best shot, came up short. But I do like the fact that we've been able to come back in a lot of games, that there is some fight to this group, and at the end of the day, that they don't give in. So I give them a lot of credit for that.
We're going to hear from John Mozeliak today at noon, his final press conference live from Busch Stadium. We will carry it on KMOX and react afterwards. And then tomorrow at 10 a.m., Chaim Bloom, the new president of baseball operations, in his first press conference. We will carry that live as well. right here on KMOX with plenty of Gas House Gang reaction. As for golf, KMOX's Dan Reardon reporting.
As unlikely as it seems, Ludwig Oberg recorded the only full point for the European team Sunday at Bethpage Black, but his team added enough ties to win the Ryder Cup over the U.S. 15-13. Oberg defeated Patrick Cantley 2-1, and when teammate Shane Lowry of Ireland came from one down on the final hole with a birdie to tie Russell Henley, he assured the cup would stay in Europe.
It'll be in Ireland in 2 years. I'm Tom Ackerman on the Voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Hey, just check the mail. We've been invited to a seminar and dinner is free.
It's going to be chicken, and it'll taste like Play-Doh.
Don't be fooled. All seminars are not the same. For example, Steve All, an investment advisor representative and founder of the All Financial Group, will be hosting his Taxes and Retirement Seminar at Bishop's Post, October 7th and 9th. From the big beautiful bill to taxes on your Social Security, Steve will not only cover the hurdles you'll face in retirement, but ways to keep more money in your pocket and less in Uncle Sam's. This is a complimentary event, but seating is limited, so reserve your seat today. Call 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
You know, hon, I've always been interested in us buying a timeshare.
I'd rather eat Play-Doh.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC IPW, or registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decision.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights, at home or at work. We'll make your happy place your own. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is 7:50. Frank Ladd is watching the roads for us from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Scott, we're seeing some slowdowns now eastbound on Highway 70 approaching the Interbelt, also on southbound Highway 170 ramping onto eastbound Highway 70. Looks like there's a crash right at the end of the ramp onto eastbound Highway 70 from 170. So that's what's causing those slowdowns there up just east of Lambert Field. Southbound on 170, a little busier now from the Parkway down through to Highway 64, busy through the Central Corridor as well. Eastbound on Highway 64 from about McKnight Road, headed towards Big Bend. Into downtown St. Louis, just a pocket of volume approaching the Poplar Street Bridge, westbound on 5564 on the Illinois side of the river there. Crossing the bridge, it's a pretty good run into downtown St. Louis. And it is heavy stop and go into the road construction zone north of Rivas Barracks, northbound on 55. And you've got pockets of volume now northbound on Highway 55 between Highway 44 and Highway 64. Not a stop and go stretch there, but it is stop and go coming up the hill eastbound on Highway 64 from before Topgolf, headed up towards Clarkson. Our next traffic update at 7:58. I'm Frank Ladd in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Weather-wise, we're looking at a very sunny day today and a high of 89 degrees. Tonight, clear. Lows ranging from 55 in the coolest suburbs to 63 downtown. Tomorrow, sunny to partly cloudy, very warm, high near 90. Wednesday, Thursday, highs in the mid-80s. Lots of sun on Friday, very warm, and a high of 88. Currently, we have bright sun in downtown St. Louis. It's 61 degrees.
The news continues at 7:52. No motive known yet in yesterday's deadly attack at a Mormon church in Grand Blanc, Michigan. The attack began about 10:30 in the morning when the assailant drove a pickup truck into the church, then opened fire on congregants. 4 people were left dead, 8 wounded.
Police identified the suspect as 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, an Iraq war veteran. The assailant is also believed to have set the building on fire, trapping victims inside. The suspect was killed in an exchange of gunfire with responding officers.
A man has been arrested for a mass shooting that killed 3 and injured 5 in North Carolina this weekend. Skylar Henley has more from Southport, North Carolina.
The authorities said the suspected shooter is Nigel Edge, a combat veteran living with PTSD. Police claim the 40-year-old gunman escaped the scene on boat heading toward Oak Island, a nearby coastal town where he lived. The Coast Guard later arrested Edge at a public ramp.
The man who killed 2 people in Missouri decades ago has been identified as the killer in an infamous Texas case. Police say in Austin, DNA has linked Robert Eugene Brashers to the yogurt shop murders. In 1991, 4 teenage girls were found tied up and fatally shot. The yogurt place set on fire. Retired Detective John Jones told CBS's 48 Hours.
Side of that place, that stuff's indelibly burned in my mind.
Brashers also was connected to the murders of a mother and her 12-year-old daughter in Portageville, Missouri in 1998. A year later, he killed himself in nearby Kennett, Missouri. Before it was solved, the yogurt shop case received a new round of attention through an HBO docuseries this summer.
About 58 million pounds of corn dogs and other sausage-on-a-stick products are being recalled. Michael Toscano tells us what the problem is.
It's wood, or what Tyson's Foods calls extraneous pieces of wooden stick within the batter. The batter was turned into Jimmy Dean pancakes and sausage-on-a-stick products from Texas-based Hillshire Foods, which is a Tyson company. The Agriculture Department's Food Safety and Inspection Service says some of the complaints from consumers involve injuries. The recalled corn dogs and sausage-on-a-stick goods were produced between March 17 and this past Friday. Michael Toscano, CBS News, Washington.
From the KMOX archive, September 29th, 1982, 43 years ago, the first of 7 people died in the Chicago area after taking poisoned capsules of extra-strength Tylenol. As the Tylenol scare grew, an Illinois police dispatcher helped spread the news.
A warning against the use of Tylenol extra-strength capsules. This product may be contaminated with cyanide and should be destroyed.
Despite an extensive investigation by local, state, and federal law enforcement, the individual responsible for the tampering was never officially identified or prosecuted. Johnson & Johnson issued a nationwide recall of 31 million bottles of Tylenol, costing over $100 million. The crisis directly resulted in the mandatory adoption of tamper-evident packaging for over-the-counter drugs and ingestible products, requiring manufacturers to implement protective features like foil seals, plastic bands, or blister packs. A year after the scare, Congress passed the Tylenol bill, making it a federal offense to tamper with consumer products.
The key to longevity? I'm Fred Bottomer with 60 Seconds to Better Health. Doctors are studying the habits of a woman in Spain who lived to be 117.
One component of her health that stood out was her diet. So she consumed 3 yogurts a day, plain probiotic yogurt that was made locally in Spain with no added sugar. The doctor told us this leads to bacteria production in her gut that actually reduced inflammation. And as we know, chronic inflammation is one of the main causes of aging and disease. It wasn't just the yogurt. Brañas lived in Spain with a full Mediterranean diet rich in olive oil and fish. She did not drink, she did not smoke, and she also had genes that protect her against many disorders, the doctor told us, many genetic variants that they hadn't seen before, he said. So in conclusion, Dr. Strayer said longevity is a mix between what we inherit and what we do in our lives. But Maria Brañas Morera was a very special case because not only did she live till 117, she was healthy till the end with no chronic disease. So the doctors hope that what they learned from her can be used in the future to help other people with anti-aging, but also help with rare genetic disorders that cause accelerated aging.
With 60 Seconds to Better Health, I'm Fred Bottomer.
KMOX welcomes Trans-Siberian Orchestra and their monumental tour, The Ghosts of Christmas Eve, to Enterprise Center December 23rd at 3 p.m. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. A portion of the proceeds benefit Sightman Kids at St. Louis Children's Hospital. And right now, Trans-Siberian Orchestra is offering their lowest ticket price in years, starting at $55, including fees, only for a limited time. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting
Call
used.
1-888-FREEDOM. Visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight, focusing on the Siteman Kids program at St. Louis Children's Hospital, and Dr. Mohammed Abdul-Baki.
I think we're definitely one of the top brain tumor programs in the whole country and in the world as well. We are the top program in Missouri that has trained pediatric neuro-oncologists.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
It is time for a check on traffic. Frank Ladd is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Scott, the left lane is blocked eastbound on Highway 70 just past 170. So that's what's causing those delays back to about Lambert Field, eastbound on Highway 70, as well as southbound on 170 approaching Highway 70 and northbound 170 approaching Highway 70. It's the left lane that is blocked due to the accident. Only the two left lanes are getting by eastbound on Highway 70 at a new accident just past T.R. Hughes. A little bit of a delay approaching that scene, backed up to about Highway K now, eastbound Highway 70. East of there, a good run towards the Blanchette Bridge. Coming up the hill is your other heavier spot now, eastbound on Highway 64, headed towards Clarkson. Our next traffic update at 8:10, Frank Ladd in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
We have a sunny sky, 61 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Tom Ackerman. Here's what's coming up with Megan Lynch. The chief U.S. Border Patrol agent literally had boots on the ground in Chicago Sunday. We will get the latest from our sister station, WBBM.
I'm Scott Jagow. Could you get around St. Louis without a car? One group is asking you to try it for a week.
If you want to be a better parent, you need to understand how your child's brain works.
And journalists are being cloned by AI, and followers can't tell the difference.
We will get a high of 89 today.
Trusted voice for news. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. We're learning more about the shooting and fire at a Latter-day Saints church in Michigan yesterday. At least 4 people were killed when police say a local Marine veteran drove his car through their front doors, opened fire, and set the whole place on fire. CBS's Ian Lee is at the scene.
The FBI is leading the investigation into this attack. So far, law enforcement isn't speculating on the motive, though they are treating this as an act of targeted violence. Police warn the death toll could rise.
Congress has less than 48 hours to pass a spending bill to avoid a government shutdown. Leaders from both parties will meet with the president today. Correspondent Nancy Cordes is at the White House.
If the government shuts down this week, non-essential services would cease and federal workers would be furloughed. Now, the White House is raising the stakes by threatening to lay off some of those workers.
If it has to shut down, it'll have to shut down. But they're the ones that are shutting down.
The president will also discuss the war in Gaza with Israel's leader at the White House. Linda Gradstein reports from Jerusalem.
President Trump's 21-point plan aims to end the Gaza war, set up a post-war governing mechanism, and bring home all 48 hostages still in Gaza, 20 of whom are believed to still be alive. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff held a 2-hour meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to try to get him to agree to the plan, despite Netanyahu's hesitation about the proposal's terms for Hamas to disarm and the role of the Palestinian Authority in post-war Gaza.
Oregon's filed a lawsuit over President Trump's order to send hundreds of National Guard troops in. Governor Tina Kotek.
I think this is a sad day for our country. A sad day for Oregon, that the President of the United States does not listen to local leaders about what they need and how we can be in partnership.
The troops would go into Portland. Trump Plaza is expanding in the Middle East.
Last year, Trump Tower Jeddah was built.
Trump Tower Jeddah is an unparalleled fusion of modern architecture.
And now a second Trump-branded development is going up in the Saudi Red Sea city of Jeddah. The new Trump Plaza Jeddah is a $1 billion project in collaboration with luxury real estate company Dar Global. Stacey Lynn, CBS News, Washington.
Changes for the company behind some popular video games. Electronic Arts, maker of The Sims and Madden NFL, being acquired by a private equity firm and taken private for $55 billion. It'll pay stockholders $210 a share in the most expensive attempt to take a public company private ever. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit progressive.com.
At 8:03, we have sunny skies, 61 degrees downtown at the Arch. Today is Monday, September 29th. The news sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station. I'm Megan Lynch. Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe signed the state's new congressional map into law Sunday, a move designed to increase the Republican representation in the U.S. House from the current 6-2 split to a potential 7-1 majority. Governor Kehoe first talked about the map he presented to lawmakers back on August 29th.
This is the Missouri First map. This map was drawn here, made here, for here by our team. It splits fewer counties and municipalities than the current version, while preserving 2 congressional districts as they currently stand.
The new map splits a Democratic district in Kansas City into 3 districts favoring Republicans. The Missouri State Conference of the NAACP challenging that new legislative redistricting bill signed by the governor. NAACP President Nimrod Chappell Jr. called the process a constitutional crisis, claiming the governor improperly called a special session to rush the map through without debate. Chappell alleges the map intentionally segregates Black residents in Kansas City. This Wednesday, the federal government will shut down if a funding bill agreement is not reached in Congress. Illinois Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski tells KMOX she has big concerns about people losing their health care coverage in the state.
And another area of concern, the lack of mental health facilities and cuts to Medicaid.
Maria, we are already challenged when we're trying to address the mental health, behavioral health issues that we have in our communities. We don't have the specialists to address those needs, especially in the more rural parts of my district. And Medicaid is a critical factor in keeping some of our community health centers fully staffed, fully funded to keep their doors open.
Budzinski told KMOX she plans on being in D.C. all this week in order to help stop the shutdown of the federal government. And while she's not saying she's hopeful a bipartisan deal can be achieved, she remains optimistic. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
The St. Louis primary election that drew national attention could feature the same candidates in a 2026 rematch.
Impact, I'm coming to tear your kingdom down.
The St. Louis Post-Dispatch is reporting Cori Bush could announce her campaign for her old seat this week, pitting her against Congressman Wesley Bell. Bush lost to Bell in part due to the large amounts of money AIPAC poured into the race, hoping to unseat her. YouGov poll director and SLU political science professor Steve Rogers thinks Bush's stout position against funding Israel plays more favorably now than during the primary just over a year ago.
Using national figures from YouGov, if we go back to 2024, about 69% of Democratic voters would consider Israel to be a friend rather than an enemy. However, now nationwide, that figure is fallen down to 52%.
The spokesperson for Wesley Bell says he is fighting in Congress to lower the cost of living, adding Bush was fired by voters due to her absence from the district. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
A retired St. Louis radio announcer abandoning his campaign for an Illinois congressional seat due to health concerns. Randy Raley announced Saturday that he recently suffered a heart attack, which required a hospital stay. Raley had been running as a Democrat in hope of facing incumbent Republican Congresswoman Mary Miller in the 15th district race next year. Raley said in a social media post that there are 3 qualified Democratic candidates still in contention, and he'll support the winner of the primary in 2026. Missouri lawmakers striving to make addiction treatment more accessible.
State Representative John Black of Marshfield heads up a task force that's been receiving testimony from those involved in the industry. He says 2 big concerns they've identified as roadblocks are transportation and housing. Black predicts some of the task force recommendations to the legislature will be budgetary.
Put more money in this program or that program. We have a advantage compared to the budget generally in that we have external sources of funding.
Those sources, the opioid settlement money and the recreational marijuana tax revenue. Brad Choate, KMOX News.
From the business desk, sponsored by Krenz Financial Group, KFGadvisors.com. It'll be a changing of the guard for the Cardinals this week. The team planning a pair of press conferences, one for current president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak, the other for his successor, Chaim Bloom. KMOX will carry both events live. Mozeliak will speak today at noon, Bloom tomorrow at 10 a.m. It's It's now 8:08. We will get a check of traffic and weather together in 2 minutes.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numb feet, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Patton, D.C. Doctor, what is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is nerve damage to the feet and legs.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It's absolutely treatable, and we have amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, coldness in your feet or hands or balance issues, call us at Comprehensive Integrated Health today for a nerve damage screening. The screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for our cutting-edge treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, and even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Call 636-538-5188. That's 636-538-5188 for your free nerve damage screening. 636-538-5188.
Last month, my business cash flow got tight. Sales were slow. Invoices were late. And payroll was coming fast. My business is everything, and people rely on me. I can't let them down. I applied online at lenseek.com and had business funding in 24 hours.
Business moves fast. Don't wait until it's too late. Whether it's lines of credit, term loans, working capital funding, or revenue-based financing, LendSeek is open for business. Apply now at LENDSEEK.com.
At California Psychics, we know that sometimes you can wake up thinking,
I don't know if I'm in the right career, or the right relationship.
But whatever your life dilemma, at California Psychics, we'll give you the guidance you need to feel certain about your life choices. And because we only connect you with the very best, we guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. California Psychics. Call 1-800-PREDICT today and get 20 minutes for just $20.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Debbie Monterey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman. Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Coming up on Total Information AM, could knowing a little bit about neurology help you be a better parent? We're going to talk about that. First, though, let's see if we can help you get around these roads. Frank Ladd is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Oh, Megan, eastbound Highway 70 are on the brakes now at Bryan Road up to a crash at TR Hughes. This one is only leaving the left 2 lanes open there. Eastbound on Highway 70, east of there near Lambert Field, we had an original crash that was just past 170. It's still there. It's still blocking a left lane. In the backup behind that, we've had an additional crash, it looks like, also blocking the left lane. Looks like it's under the McDonald overpass or underneath one of the flyover bridges for Highway 170. So you're backed up to almost St. Charles Rock, not quite St. Charles Rock Road. You're backed up to Lambert Field, though, eastbound on Highway 70, headed towards those 2 crashes at 170. An additional crash has you backed up across the Missouri River now, eastbound on Highway 364. This crash is at 141, and it looks like the 2 right lanes are blocked there. Our next traffic update at 8:20. I'm Frank Ladd in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
KMOX AccuWeather remaining very warm today with plenty of sunshine. The high 89, then mainly clear tonight. We'll get down to 55 in the coolest suburbs, about 63 downtown at the Arch. Sunshine mixing with clouds tomorrow and quite warm, the high near 90. The record is 93, set in 1952. For Wednesday, a very warm day with sun through variable high cloudiness, the high temperature 84. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Currently, we have sunny skies, 65 degrees in Florissant, 60 in St. Peter's, 61 downtown at the Arch. You're back with Total Information AM. I'm Megan Lynch. Our next guest says there are limitations to some traditional parenting approaches. She wants parents to turn to neurobiology and behavioral science. Dr. Nancy Weaver is professor of behavioral science at St. Louis University and joins us now. Thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Now, I had to look at this and I thought, I can hear parents groaning. Oh, no, someone else is telling me how to parent. So tell me a little bit about the research that you do.
So I have been involved in parenting work for a couple of decades now. I'm a public health professor. So I take kind of a prevention lens at in talking to parents and thinking about issues related to parenting. I've done some work in child abuse and neglect. And that's really guided some of my thinking and research about sort of what best practices are. And now we know so much about the growing brain and how kids learn and how they develop. And I was beginning to see that some of our old school models weren't really keeping up with what we knew about a kid's brain. And so that's kind of the approach I've been taking for the past little bit here.
I know that you have looked at the conventional reward and punishment systems. I remember doing those reward charts when my kids were little, and it didn't last very long. Why is that sometimes for parents that is not a sustainable thing?
Right. You know, those have gotten so much traction, all the reward-based systems of parenting. And yet early on, we knew that there were not just limitations to rewards and punishments, but also that they can do some damage, so to speak. And the reason they don't work is because they rely on extrinsic motivation. And what we really want when we're raising kids is for them to develop a sense of intrinsic motivation. And for that, we need to give them a lot of autonomy about things they're choosing to do. We need to help them feel competent. We need to give them a sense of belonging as part of a group. And so relying on rewards and punishments, they don't really give the kids skills. They just kind of set these consequences in place. And that isn't always the best way to help a child learn to be competent in the areas where they need to be developing.
Let's talk about that, because I think for a lot of parents, none of us have training going into this typically,
right.
Unless we've had siblings or some care of siblings. So how do we start to develop this in our homes?
That's such a good point. And one of the things that I'm finding so interesting in this world of social media and influencers, there's so many people telling us how to parent our children. And it's very difficult for a parent these days to parse out the evidence and the advice and figure out what's good for their family. I like to sort of set some guideposts, like for me, I like to think about connection. My ability to connect with my kids is about the most powerful thing that I can do. And so being connected with them, being curious about their behavior allows me to ask questions like, hey, why didn't you finish your math sheet? Or why did you throw sand at your brother? And if you develop a sense of curiosity and you become more attuned with your kid, you're going to get lots of information. And you might learn, they were really stressed, or they didn't know how to communicate a need, or they were just feeling really overwhelmed and couldn't manage the emotion. And once we learn to be curious and we get that information, then we can start help our kids to develop the skills in emotional regulation or how to communicate. And so I like to think about sort of those guideposts: communication, connection, curiosity, attunement. Those things are going to serve us well.
Can you explain for us what emotional regulation is and what it is not?
We can think of emotional regulation as, I guess, anyone's ability to manage difficult emotions. And so there's a whole collection of emotions that we would call aversive emotions: fear, anxiety, worry, hostility, aggression. And those come up in us all the time throughout the day. And as we get older, we kind of learn, I notice I'm feeling this sense of anxiety or anger, frustration, and I have some skills for how to manage those feelings so they don't kind of railroad my day. And as kids, they don't really have those skills quite yet. So emotional regulation is sort of how we're able to keep ourselves in a nervous system state that's kind of calm and relaxed, even when we're experiencing big emotions that might feel really intense.
So I'm sitting here thinking, well, I don't know as an adult if I really have mastered this. So how in the world do I help my kids with emotional regulation?
That's such a good point, because as parents, the best thing that we can do for our kids, I think, is learn exactly that skill. And that's hard. And I don't know about you, but I don't think I recognized when my kids were little how important it was for me to get my emotional regulation skills in order. And so one of the best ways to do it is practice pausing. So if your child does something that revs you up, spills the orange juice, kicks the dog, dings the car, if we can pause in that moment and create space between what has just happened and how we choose to react to it, then our reaction isn't like an impulse. Our reaction is more of a response. It's more thoughtful. We can take a pause and we could say, how are we going to handle this situation? How should I respond in a way that like supports my kid, has an eye toward his growth and development, and also teaches him skills? And that pause is the place where we can breathe. Breathing is a big sign to our nervous system that we can stay in that parasympathetic nervous system state, which is calmer. So we pause, we breathe, which kind of resets our nervous system, and then we figure out how we want to respond from a place of connection. So that's where I would start, pausing and breathing.
This sounds like a process. And I'm thinking, parenting is already overwhelming enough for a lot of us. So give us maybe one or two things. How do we start working toward giving our kids the skills they need to have internal motivation and helping them with this emotional regulation?
It definitely is a process. I think what's really helpful is to try to understand behavior as communicating. And as a behavioral scientist, I've studied why we behave the way we do. And in part, we behave in ways that communicate to others what our nervous system is doing. I snip at my husband sometimes when I'm feeling anxious. And kids, they communicate their behaviors, or they communicate their feelings by showing us their behavior. So in terms of a process, giving kids the benefit of the doubt that even when we see their behavior as misbehavior, so to speak, it might be stress behavior. It might be behavior saying, hey, I don't really know how to do this. I'm really overwhelmed. So a process that begins to say, what's this behavior telling me about what my kid needs? That begins the process of attuning with your child. And that leads to closeness and connection. And those things are super, super protective for all sorts of things later in life.
You have given us so much to think about. Thank you for getting us started on this path. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
That is Dr. Nancy Weaver, professor of behavioral science at St. Louis University, joining us this morning on KMOX. 8:20. Let's see how things are moving on the roads with Frank Ladd in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Oh, Megan, this update is sponsored by the Woodlands of Arnold Senior Living. Headed eastbound on Highway 70 in St. Charles County. You're on the brakes now from Bryan Road up to an accident near T.R. Hughes, just past T.R. Hughes, still over on the right side, still just those two left lanes getting by. East of there on eastbound Highway 364, you're backed up across the Veterans Bridge up to an accident at 141. Looks like the two right lanes remain blocked there, but it's eastbound Highway 364, stop and go crossing the Veterans Bridge up to 141. They cleared the original crash eastbound Highway 70 just past 170. That crash in the backup behind the original crash is near Natural Bridge. That now has you backed up to almost Lindbergh eastbound on Highway 70 as the left lane is blocked there. Those delays northbound on 170 and southbound on 170 are all out of the way at Highway 70. Our next traffic update at 8:30. I'm Frank Ladd in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
The Woodlands of Arnold campus offers skilled rehab, a beautiful assisted living community, and a secure memory care to keep your loved ones safe. Check us out at rspseniorliving.com. That's rspseniorliving.com.
Still ahead on Total Information AM, the chief U.S. Border Patrol agent literally had boots on the ground in Chicago Sunday. We'll get the latest from our sister station, WBBM. Plus, journalists are being cloned by AI and followers can't tell the difference. We'll have more on that next. Checking the forecast for today, very warm, plenty of sunshine with a high of 89. Tonight, clear with lows around 55. Right now, we have sunny skies, 61 degrees downtown at the Arch.
Tom Ackerman here. The biggest decision that you have to make when it comes to outdoor renovations, so we're talking about windows and siding specifically, is choosing the right contractor. Because if you pick a contractor that maybe is cheaper, cuts corners, doesn't do the job right, you can't go back. Once they do a bad job, then you got to take it all off again and start over with the real thing. The real deal is Banner Construction. They're the ones who have been doing it for over 30 years. They are the absolute best.
They are a Pella Windows specialist. They are a James Hardy siding specialist. They do a professional job, well over 30 years now of excellence in St. Louis. Online at bannerconstruction.com. There you can find how to get a free in-home consultation with their outstanding team, and then go from there. 314-569-1050 is their phone number. 314-569-1050 for Banner Construction, and have a banner day.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy, Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
I'm Megan Lynch, and you're listening to Total Information AM here on KMOX. And this is something of great concern to me. Real journalists being copied by AI and turned into fake TikTok accounts. Let's find out more from Julie Smith. She's a media instructor at Webster University, also speaks internationally on media issues, and an author as well. Julie, thanks for coming in.
Oh, you bet.
What is happening? This was a story that was broken by NBC. Give us a few details of this situation.
So there's a journalist named Jorge Ramos, and he was with Univision, the Spanish language channel, for 40 years as a journalist. He was one of the best known Spanish language journalists. It turns out that there was a network of about 90 different TikTok accounts using fake images of him spreading ridiculous junk. There was one clip of him claiming that Barron Trump had stormed into the United Nations, just outlandish stuff. And it really concerned him as a journalist because he doesn't know how to get that trust back. And as you know, that's the most important thing.
That's your currency.
That is your currency. So he has now done a lot of TikTok videos, ironically, telling people this is how you know if it's really me, et cetera, et cetera. And it all goes back to that lateral reading that we've talked about before, Megan. Like, if you see a TikTok that says Barron Trump stormed into the United Nations and no one else is talking about that, isn't that kind of a clue that it probably didn't happen, right? But here's why they do it. And I think this is really interesting. It's called engagement farming. So these accounts will use famous people to increase engagement because they're famous people, right? And then they can monetize that TikTok account. Then they sell the account, and then the purchaser of that account will change the theme or change the topic. So they use this to build the account up and monetize it and then turn around and sell it. But they're spending journalists' credibility to do this. So I think it's a real mess.
And probably for most journalists, they don't have the financial wherewithal to try to launch an investigation and a lawsuit against these individuals. It's probably internationally done, so it's hard to track, I would imagine.
Yeah, most of them are actually in Malaysia. So it's impossible to track. And even if you flag these to TikTok has 23 million videos that are uploaded every day. So it's almost impossible for them to do any content screening.
I think what disturbed me about this story in particular that NBC did, and I'm sure it's happening, in other languages, but the fact that this was targeting largely Latino audience, which we know, especially in this country, there's been a real challenge, for example, around elections, to get accurate information into the Latino community from people they trust.
And I think that these accounts are exploiting that.
Yes.
Especially since Jorge Ramos was with Univision for 40 years. He's well known and well respected. And now he's really having to earn that back.
That is media expert Julie Smith joining us this morning on KMOX. Thanks so much.
You bet.
The U.S. Border Patrol agent who led immigration crackdowns in L.A. patrolled some of Chicago's most affluent areas over the weekend. We'll talk with Jeff Buckholtz of WBBM Radio in Chicago coming up next. It's 8:28. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
It's Tom Ackerman for Genesis of St. Charles, the #1 Genesis dealer in Missouri for 2025. Genesis of St. Charles, a trusted Genesis dealer, and the all-out sellout has arrived. Genesis of St. Charles out to break all sales records in September. This month only, receive a $500 gift card with any new vehicle purchase. You want to trade? They're offering more for your pre-owned vehicle than ever before at Genesis of St. Charles. Genesis of St. Charles is located at 5601 Veterans Memorial Parkway, right off Mid-Rivers Mall Drive and I-70. You've seen the Genesis of St. Charles dealership from afar. Now it's time for you to go inside. You will find a state-of-the-art facility, luxury service, and Missouri's first and only Genesis dealership. These new models are in stock now at genesisofstcharles.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res Carpet Cleaners. So I love the fall. As you know, I've been waiting for fall now. It just seems like for so long. Football, back to school, the crisp air, it's a great time to nest. Zero Res is giving you a great fall offer. 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129. Take $75 off your air duct cleaning. These guys have been to my house a dozen times, maybe more than that. I have pets who aren't great at hitting the spot, and so they keep it really clean for me. Maybe you have pets, maybe you have kids, maybe you just have a family. You know how they do damage to those carpets. We also do couches and chairs and hardwood floors. Or if you're a dentist and you have more than 3 rooms, we're going to make you a great DGS deal. Again, 3 rooms of carpet cleaned at $129, $75 off your air duct cleaning. Call 314-474-2020, or you can book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Let's head to Frank Ladd. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, they cleared the crash over to the right shoulder, eastbound Highway 364, just before 141. However, you're still backed up to about upper bottom. They're working on that crash still. It's over on the right shoulder, kind of nudging out in that right entrance lane, eastbound Highway 70 past TR Hughes. So the 3 left lanes are wide open, still seeing a backup towards Bryan Road. Still dealing with that crash, eastbound Highway 70 at Natural Bridge, still in the left lane, still seeing delays back towards Lindbergh. I'm Frank Ladd with traffic in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
And checking that forecast for today, it looks like it's going to be a very warm day again today. We should have plenty of sunshine. We're expecting a high of 89 degrees, a low tonight around 60. Right now, we have sunny skies, 61 degrees downtown at the Arch. Dozens of federal immigration agents were seen patrolling downtown Chicago Sunday afternoon. Among them, Gregory Bovino, the chief U.S. Border Patrol agent. Residents got out their phones, live streaming on social media as agents moved through the Gold Coast area and Michigan Avenue. Meanwhile, protests continued near an ICE facility in suburban Broadview. Joining me for our Odyssey sister station, WBBM radio political editor, Jeff Buckholtz. Jeff, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Good morning, Megan. It's a pleasure to be with you here in Chicago. You're right. This is becoming quite a bit more provocative. That's the word that Governor Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson have both used to describe particularly the situation along Michigan Avenue, where a lot of people, as you point out, saw uniformed, some masked ICE agents walking up and down the Magnificent Mile, that stretch of Michigan Avenue from about DuSable Lakeshore Drive down to roughly Millennium Park, stopping people at one point. At another point, there were demonstrators following the agents chanting shame, which is a scene out of Game of Thrones practically. Both the governor and the mayor released statements last night saying that this doesn't make anybody safer and urging Chicagoans and others to know their rights if they're stopped by agents. We are expecting to hear more from the governor this afternoon. And as you point out, the situation in Broadview is also becoming a little more heated as the folks who are protecting or guarding this facility, and this is in the near western suburbs of Chicago, where a lot of detainees are being processed and being detained, they're becoming more aggressive in dealing with protesters and other demonstrators, firing rubber bullets, chemical irritants, and that sort of thing. We know of at least one journalist who was detained by authorities, and a reporter for the CBS television station here said that an ICE agent fired a chemical irritant through her open car window at a time when there were no protesters around. And the local police in Broadview, who are slowly becoming less patient with the feds, are now investigating that situation.
I think it's important to note for people who may not be familiar with Chicago that some of this happened when we talk about the Gold Coast and Michigan Avenue area. These are very affluent areas of Chicago. Were those agents armed?
Yes, they were armed and openly displaying those weapons. And you can imagine, I mean, as people who come to Chicago, who have visited Chicago for decades, have walked the Magnificent Mile and the Gold Coast. There are very high-end shops there, very high-end residences, lots of hotels up and down that area. So you can imagine if you're bringing your family to Chicago for a weekend, and it was a beautiful weekend here, all of a sudden turning a corner and seeing a brace of camo-clad federal agents with weapons out, what that would do or how people might react to that. As you point out, the person in charge of the federal enforcement effort told one media outlet that the vast majority of people that they're running into approve of what they're doing. I have no independent confirmation of that, but they didn't. If that's correct, that person didn't talk to any of the people we've been talking to today.
Jeff, I'm assuming this is widely seen as a prelude to further action there in Chicago, as has been mentioned by the White House.
It could be. Governor Pritzker has said as recently as a few weeks ago that he does believe that at some point there will be a broader federal troop presence in Chicago, though the announcement over the weekend by the president that the National Guard is now going to be sent to Portland, Oregon, after saying for a long time that they were going to send federal forces to Chicago after Memphis, certainly raises some questions about the timeline. But the element of surprise appears to be one of the tools the Trump administration likes to use in situations like this. And in the meantime, the governor and the mayor of Chicago have told everybody, know your rights and be prepared.
Jeff, thanks so much for your time this morning.
Absolutely.
That is WBBM radio political editor Jeff Buchholz joining us this morning here on KMOX. Your Money Report is next.
Brought to you by Duke's Mayonnaise.
This is the Duke's Country Song. It's a song about the best mayo. It has a yellow lid, and its full name is Duke's Mayonnaise. Get Duke's Mayo in store. It's got twang.
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products are compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want a boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Put it all together and you've got what you need to turn things all the way up. Getting started is simple. Just go to hims.com/joy to start your free online visit. Through Hims, you can access ED treatments, including pills, chews, and more, 100% online. No office visits, no pharmacy lines. Just fill out a simple intake form and a licensed medical provider will determine if treatment's right for you. If prescribed, it ships free and discreetly to your door. Find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy, HIMS.com/JOY.
8:37, time for your money report, sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys. Here's Bloomberg's Kimberly Adams.
Good morning. Walmart plans to do more in-house training to make sure it has the qualified workers it needs in the future. The giant retailer already has programs to train truck drivers and maintenance technicians. Now the company is preparing to launch an artificial intelligence skills program next year. Walmart will collaborate with OpenAI. Lufthansa is planning to cut 4,000 administrative jobs within the next 5 years as it looks to improve profitability. This would be the steepest reductions at Europe's largest airline group since the pandemic devastated the industry. According to a statement, the majority of the cuts will be in Germany and affect digitalization, automation, and process consolidation departments. And barring a government shutdown, the jobs report, which is due Friday, will offer the Fed clues as to whether employers' appetite for labor is enough to keep the unemployment rate from rising further. Officials cut rates this month for the first time this year on concerns about the weakness in the job market. With your Bloomberg Money Report, I'm Kimberly Adams on the Voice of St. Louis, 104.1 FM KMOX.
Hey, it's Tom Ackerman. Football season is in full swing, and the best place to get in on all the action is Underdog. Underdog, where you can select entries and win money right now in Missouri, just like I did recently when I picked 4 fantastic choices on Underdog. All I did was choose which players would go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. Get your entries right. You can win up to 5,000 times your cash. It is a lot of fun. Download the app now and sign up with promo code TOM. That's promo code TOM. Sign up for the Underdog app on your phone. You'll receive $100 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code TOM. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/playing at terms_DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Now, 90 and 60. A look back at the latest St. Louis City SC match. Presented by Woods Basement Systems, Inc.
Bad back pass by Ballum intended for Baumgartner. Stolen by Buwake. Shoots. He scores from outside the 18, top of the D. In the air, out wide, Smoliakov crosses. Backside, Palencia. Roman Berkey diving over to his left. Gets a left paw to it. Son looking for his second goal of the evening. Top of the 18, Alfie. Front 7, Son. Hits one on the ground. Takes him by surprise and puts it into Berkey's right lower corner. City falls to Los Angeles Football Club. Final score 3-0.
Up next, City SC faces Austin FC Saturday night. Kick at 7:30 on Y98.
Tripping over uneven concrete? Don't replace it, raise it with concrete leveling. Call the all things basementy experts, Wood Basement Systems, for a free estimate at 618-249-5503 or learn more at woodsbasementsystems.com.
8:40, time for another check of your ride into work with Frank Ladd in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, drivers on eastbound Highway 70 are still negotiating this accident. It's eastbound Highway 70, just past Natural Bridge. It's blocking the left lane. So right as you come around the bend there, passing Lambert Field to the left, that's where the accident is. MoDOT has a truck out there blocking that left lane. So that's the good news. A little bit of a delay passing Lambert Field. Still dealing with volume eastbound on Highway 70 at the accident at Bryan Road, but that is dissipating rather quickly. Just the right entrance ramp from Bryan Road, from T.R. Hughes, I should say, is what's partially blocked there. So you've got a little bit of a delay headed back towards Bryan Road. We've thinned out completely eastbound on Highway 364, crossing the Missouri River, headed towards 141. That accident is long gone. We're sponsored by the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. Are you considering life insurance? Penn Mutual's accelerated client experience makes applying for life insurance fast and easy. Ask your independent advisor or go to pennmutual.com/STL. I'm Frank Ladd in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Warm and sunny today, a high of 89 degrees. Currently, we do have sunshine, 61 degrees downtown at the Arch. Thanks for listening to Total Information AM on KMOX. Here's Debbie Monterey.
Leah Holter is a household name for people who love baked goods. The North County native was TLC's next great baker, but chose to return home to open Made by Leah in Florissant and now has a cookbook by the same name.
So I had actually started Made by Leah just as a little Facebook page in 2012. And I would make orders out of my tiny little apartment and had just like a this much space for a counter. It was just really tiny. And then I was on TLC's Next Great Baker with Buddy the Cake Boss. Ended up winning the whole season. It was 10 teams that competed across the United States. Each week someone would get eliminated, and we do over the top like cake challenges and things like that. Every week we just kept winning, and I was like, man, we actually might win this thing. Ended up bringing home the title of the Next Great Baker. I could have worked for Buddy the Cake Boss and been placed in one of his Carlos bakeries in Vegas. I was like, you know what? I think I'd rather stay home, stay in St. Louis, and build my roots here. So after Next Great Baker, I became the brand ambassador for A.B. Mari, Fleischmann's Yeast. And they let me run my business out of their state-of-the-art, beautiful facility in the Cortex district, just right outside of Central West End. I did that for about 3.5 to 4 years. And then I kind of had it on my heart to be like, you know what? I really want to open a bakery. I know it's scary and I know it would change my whole life, but it was just one of those things that I kept feeling that, nudge to just go for it and do it. And so I ended up finding the perfect spot in Old Town Florissant, where I live, literally walking distance from my home. Like I can get there in 60 seconds. We opened the doors right in the middle of COVID, a great time to open a business, but it was a huge blessing. And we had lines down the street, and we just had such an amazing support from our community and St. Louis and beyond to really help rally and get our doors open during that time. And so it's just been a wild ride, and we've been just running ever since. It just hasn't stopped.
Winning Next Great Baker came with a monetary prize and the opportunity to run the Cake Boss's bakery in Vegas. She said no.
So many people have asked, why didn't you go? Even Buddy was like, what? You're not going to take this opportunity? I just would rather be a big fish in a smaller pond than be like just another employee for the Cake Boss. I wanted to build my brand, and I wanted to bring, my gifts and my talents and plant them somewhere where I knew that the roots would dig deep. And I love North County. I was born and raised in Bell Fountain. So I'm a North County girl, and I just knew that for my lifestyle and, having my family and my business in the community is just, it's been such a blessing. And I'm so thankful that I made that decision, because my life would be a lot different, I think, if I would have just went off to Vegas. And that's just not my scene. I don't think I would have been as successful either. My business has flourished, and I give that a lot. I owe that a lot to the community and St. Louis and all my fans and everybody who has supported me since day one.
And how exactly did she go about putting together a cookbook?
Well, first I wanted to pick, I kind of did it as my greatest hits. So there's recipes from when I was a child that I've, developed over the years. There's recipes from my great grandfather. There's some of our staples at the shop. So our most popular sellers, like our blueberry scone or our chocolate chip cookies. There's recipes that I developed alongside my kids, like the Ella muffins and the James's famous blueberry muffins. And then there's recipes that I developed specifically for this book that really let Fleischmann's Yeast shine. So like the breads and the focaccia and the donuts and things like that. So it's a blend of a lot of different recipes, but if you look through them all, they're define me as a baker. So they're all very special, and we tested and tasted and perfected these recipes for over 2 years. And it was an amazing process, and my team was a huge help in getting all of this done, helping me get everything done.
Can a beginner make those recipes?
I would say there's, you can kind of tell by the pictures of which one looks a little bit more involved. Layered cakes are always a little bit more involved, but all of my recipes are very approachable. So, my chocolate cake, for instance, it's one bowl chocolate cake. You just need a bowl, throw all the ingredients in until you get to the last ingredient, which is actually coffee, because it enhances the chocolate flavor. But you don't even need a mixer. So it's just all done in one bowl, which is really nice. Because I like to do things simple. I don't like a huge mess. I don't want to have 15 different bowls, in my kitchen. And I don't even have a mixer in my home kitchen, which people always think is crazy. But I like to keep it, simple with the basics. I just need a bowl and a wooden spoon or a whisk and your hands, and you can create, lots of great recipes. And I think my book is trying to get people to learn the craft of baking. That's why it's everyday craft baking, because you're baking with your hands. You're learning the craft of baking rather than just throwing a box mix and some, oil in a pan,
And now that the Made by Leah Cafe is growing and there's the cookbook, how much time does Leah actually get to bake?
I would say, yeah, it's like 90% all the other stuff, 10%, I get to actually bake, which I am training my employees, and they all like kind of know, like, even though it's made by Leah, it's made by so many more too, but they do it, up to my standards. But yeah, it's like, I never really thought when I opened a bakery that I would have so many other things that I have to do, like running the team or managing, inventory, or putting all these orders in, or now that I have my books, like all the marketing. I've always done all the marketing for Made by Leah, and I love marketing, so I think that I don't want to hand off that to anybody else, but it is hard because you have to all the posts, like for social media, you got to post on Instagram and Facebook, and now there's the stories or making content and videos, so it's a lot and overwhelming, and I really try to not be on my phone when my kids are at home. So I have to all fit it all in during the time that they're at school. And so I always tell my husband, I'm like, there's just not enough hours in the day. Like, I need to wake up at 4 a.m. so I can have time to do all these things. So it is a lot, but trying to, keep it organized and make lists and delegate, what I can to my team is really important. I just see myself as Leah trying to be a mom, and I'm tired and I'm running a business and doing all these things. I don't really see myself, some people are like, oh, you're like a celebrity. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just a mom trying to chase my dreams too, and somehow it's all coming together. I have a very supportive husband. He's amazing, and he has a full-time job, yet does all the payroll and wakes up to help get the kids' lunches made in the morning. So, having a partner and chasing my dreams alongside me is really special. And my kids, they're involved in the bakery. I think getting them involved is so important too. They help stamp the bags or sticker the boxes, or, anything they can do to kind of help, I think is really important as well, because otherwise they'd be like, oh, Mom, why are you going to work? It's like, I'm going to the bakery, and you're coming with me, or we're doing it together. It's a family business. And so it's just, it's been such a blessing, and having the support from St. Louis and fans from near and far has been just so overwhelmingly beautiful. And I just feel so thankful and grateful that I'm able to share my love of baking with others. And that's kind of my goal. And that's why I just want people to not just get the book. I want them to get the book and open it and use it and bake the recipes and pass them along to others, and just kind of share in that love together. So
that's Leah Holter of Made by Leah, the cafe, and now the cookbook. Leah was a guest on Book Chat with Debbie Monterey and St. Louis Public Library.
Well, you can park your car in the garage this week. Advocates want you to know what it's like to navigate life without one. We're going to be talking about that in just a moment. First, though, I want to tell you about the St. Louis Walk to End Alzheimer's. I'm going to be part of it again this year. And the reason why it's so important for me is because my husband's family has been on this journey with their mom for many years now. And that's why I'm really grateful for the Alzheimer's Association and all they do. They provide local support and programs to families facing this devastating disease. That includes a 24/7 helpline that you can reach at 800-272-3900. It's staffed by master level clinicians and specialists who are available 365 days a year to help you navigate this. Of course, Alzheimer's is a fatal and progressive disease. It attacks the brain, and it's the leading cause of dementia. So I hope you'll join me for the St. Louis Walk to End Alzheimer's, Saturday, October 25th at Chesterfield Amphitheater and Central Park. It's a beautiful location, and it's a way to connect with other people who are dealing with this. Sometimes you get pretty isolated if you're a caregiver or if you're the person with Alzheimer's, and this is a way to meet other people that have the same walk. The Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's, the world's largest event, more than $1.3 million just raised locally at that St. Louis Walk last year. Again, it's the St. Louis Walk to End Alzheimer's, Saturday, October 25th. Go to alz.org/walk to register. That's alz.org/walk.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. That's right, weight loss seminar at the Marriott St. Louis West in St. Louis at 11 a.m. Registration 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
It's the most inspiring night in sports. The Musial Awards at Stiefel Theater. You can be in the audience for this nationally televised event from St. Louis. Named for Stan the Man, the Musial Awards celebrate those who uplift us through their extraordinary sportsmanship. Experience the remarkable moments and people that make this an event like no other. The Musial Awards, presented by Maryville University. Saturday, November 22nd. Tickets at musialawards.com.
Hey guys, Dave and Rach here for our good friends at Smart Mouth. So it is unique by the very definition of the word. It's the only mouth rinse out there with 2 chemicals that combine to prevent bad breath for 24 hours a day with just 2 rinses a day.
Never have bad breath again. You can find Smart Mouth locally at Schnucks and Deerbergs or at Walgreens, Walmart, and Amazon. Visit smartmouth.com to snag a special discount on your next Smart Mouth purchase. That's smartmouth.com/Glover.
Thanks for listening to Total Information AM on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch, and you may be listening as you're driving into work. Try to imagine what life would be like if you didn't have a car. Today is the start of Week Without Driving in St. Louis. Our guest this morning rode in on her bike, actually. Chantel Incandela is Director of Marketing and Communications at TrailNet. Thank you so much for coming in studio today.
Well, thanks for having me.
So what's the purpose of Week Without Driving?
A Week Without Driving is a fantastic opportunity for drivers to try to understand the world of non-drivers and ideally to work together to create more accessible communities for all. So that if someone can't drive, there are a lot of reasons why people don't drive. 1/3 of people in the United States don't drive either because of age, disability, inability to afford a car, whatever reason the reason might be, they don't drive. And the week is hopefully to kind of gain an understanding of their experience and what we can do to work together to make their choices better, whether it has to do with infrastructure, public transportation, or making sidewalks better for walking. Yeah.
As you're talking, I'm hearing several things there, and it sounds like for a lot of people who have to rely on other forms of transportation, they're already starting out with some challenges. So then what are the challenges of navigating a public transit system for them?
Yeah, public transit. If your bus is late, then you have to wait for the next one. What if you're in an area that doesn't have another bus for another 30 minutes? How does that affect you getting to work and you keeping your job? And if the bus is late, but then you got to take the train as well, will you miss your train connection? These are definitely some struggles for people who take public transportation. And then people who are biking on the road, what if the infrastructure isn't there? What if you don't have a protected bike lane? What if roads are uneasy? There's a lot of challenges that can come with cycling or taking public transportation or walking.
I have to even think of people who bike and also use public transportation. Sometimes there are not enough bike racks on the buses for all the people that are waiting at the stop.
Yeah, Metro, we're so grateful that Metro has bike racks on each bus. You can put 2 bikes on each bus. But yeah, if they're both full, then you might be biking a little bit further to your next stop to put your bus on the next bike, the next bus.
Do you know how we compare to other parts of the country as far as the number of people who do rely on alternate forms of transportation?
You know, we don't have those numbers, but when a city invests, I don't have those numbers right now, but when a city invests in public transportation, no matter the population numbers, what they're saying to their residents is, you belong here and we care about you getting to where you need to be. Because the thing is when we're able to choose how we want to get around, this is a win for us all economically. Not to mention just the dignity of being able to get around how you want to get around. When you can get to work on time, that is a win economically. When you can take the bike or the bus, or you can walk easily to the store, that is a win economically for us all. Not to mention just the inherent dignity of being able to get where you need to be.
So give us some specifics of what you're asking our listeners to try this week, even if it's just for one day.
Yeah, even if it's just for one day or even one trip. This isn't about, I didn't drive all week, so therefore I win. It has nothing to do with that. It's progress, not perfection, and reflection, not perfection. So if you're able to try to get around for even just one day without your car, that's great. If you can only switch out one trip, maybe it's the trip to the store. Maybe the store is not very far away from you and you can walk there or you can bike there. We want you to try that. And then if you have to get in your car, that happens. That's understandable here in St. Louis. Maybe when you get in your car, reflect on the idea of trying to get wherever you're going without a car. How difficult would this journey be? How long would it take? What obstacles would you face? To give you a little more understanding of what it's like for the non-driver.
Yeah, I'll have to stop and think and look at the routes and figure out what it would be for me. I get in here at 6 a.m. So that might present more of a challenge for people who work a little bit of a different schedule then.
Yeah, absolutely. If the bus doesn't come early enough, or maybe it's a little too far for you to bike, that can definitely pose some challenges. And it's understandable that people this week might have to say, you know what, I have to drive to work. That's not a failure of them. That's actually really eye-opening to show you that the system has opportunity for growth.
So for our listeners, where can they go to find out more information?
Yeah, trailnet.org/WWD. We've got information there about some events happening throughout the week. The partners that have joined us, we are really incredibly grateful for America Walks and Missouri Council of the Blind, who helped support this week. Also on there is a link to Metro, so you can find out how to put your bike on the bus rack, the different routes. Also, we have some links to the League of American Bicyclists that can walk you through getting your bike ready if you haven't ridden it in a while. You can also head to our social media on Instagram. We've got a lot of great storytelling about Week Without Driving this week.
Fantastic. It's Week Without Driving. Chantel Incandela, Director of Marketing and Communications at TrailNet. Thank you so much for biking into studio this morning.
Thanks for having me.
KMOX welcomes Trans-Siberian Orchestra and their monumental tour, The Ghosts of Christmas Eve, to Enterprise Center December 23rd at 3 p.m. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. A portion of the proceeds benefits Sightman Kids at St. Louis Children's Hospital. And right now, Trans-Siberian Orchestra is offering their lowest ticket price in years, starting at $55 including fees, only for a limited time. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here for 213 Complex, which you can pick up at Supplement Superstores. With school back in session, you're into a new routine. That routine's going to last. Make it a fitness routine as well. I know that's what I'm doing in advance of the holidays, and I'm using 213 Complex to get it done, because what I'm getting is all-day boost to the metabolism, 24 hours a day. I get appetite control, which is huge for me, and all-day focused energy that comes with no jitters. So for you, just go to Supplement Superstores, tell them Kevin Wheeler sent you in. They will give you 30% off the 213 Complex. Find your location at supplementsuperstores.com.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgeier of Fira Capital Management for Your Retirement Highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, registered investment advisors. Securities made available through